Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Monday, December 15, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Black farmers are voicing their skepticism about Donald Trump's new $12 billion farm bailout program, saying that it contains racist undertones. John Boyd from the National Black Farmers Association will join us. Millions are watching to see what will happen next with the Affordable Care Act, especially after the Senate, just refused to extend the credits. I'll talk with the former official from the Centers for Medicaid and Medicaid Services to understand what this means for your health care. Recent polling shows that only 31% of voters approve of Donald Trump's handling of the economy, but Fox News is like, oh my God, it's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's a great economy. Well, that's what happens when you make $15, $20 million a year. We'll talk with the economist Morgan Harper from the American Economic Liberties Project. National Association of Black Journalists has launched a bold initiative to raise $15 million over the next 4 years to create a permanent endowment that invests in the next generation of black journalists. We'll talk to one of the 44 founders of the NABJ. Plus, former head of the NFL Players Association, Demaurice Smith, will join me to discuss his new book, Turf Wars, The Fight for the Soul of America's Game. Trust me, it is a conversation you do not want to miss. It is time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin.
So Donald Trump's tariffs have destroyed the economy for farmers in America. Those white farmers yell, scream, holler. And so now Trump says, hey, I'm proposing $12 billion in a relief package. He's describing it as a lifeline for growers affected by rising costs and trade policies. Now, mind you, he said, oh, no, that my tariffs are going to do wonders for the American economy. Ask those who grow soybeans. It's happening all across. We're talking Nebraska, Idaho, Illinois, Virginia, Iowa, Wisconsin, Georgia, all these places where we have farms, they're getting screwed because Donald Trump's idiotic policies are screwing them. Oh, beef prices. Then he cuts a deal and bails out the Argentinian economy and then says we're going to buy Argentinian beef. Oh, yeah, all of this. This schizophrenic trade policy has caused massive harm across the country. Now, this one-time payment will be distributed through the USDA's new Farmer Bridge Assistance Program. That's what they're calling it, okay? But you got some farmers already saying, wait a minute, how this going to help us with crops for next season? Now, it also is a significant requirement to qualify for this assistance. Farmers must already be registered in the USDA system and must report their acreage. This is where black farmers have expressed concerns the system fails to adequately support them. John Boyd is president of the National Black Farmers Association. He joins us now. So John, explain to us what that means. What's the issue with the reporting of the acreage?
Well, here's the issue, Roland, and the president gave out, Trump gave out $30 billion under his first term as president. He bailed out farmers, and he tried the same card that he tried right now, the tariff mess with China. Roland, do you know I was selling soybeans for $16.80 a bushel when Trump came in the first time? The price dropped all the way down to $8 a bushel, and at some point, lower $7 a bushel.
Wow, cut by more than half.
50% in half, and white farmers keep saying they are voting for Trump. They voted for him 3 times because he's good on agriculture. Do you know who was president when I was selling soybeans for $18 and some change? Roland, take one guess.
Obama or Biden?
Barack Obama, 2012. The highest prices in U.S. history was under a black president. His name was Barack Obama. And I hope this spread across the internet like wildfire. So the president sold out white farmers. For Argentina, he gave them $40 billion. Yes, and then they turned around and started selling soybeans to China. So they took the money and they took our contract and all of that stuff, Roland. The president got played. And then white farmers, as you know, for the first time, been out here 42 years, Roland. I've never seen white farmers on every network. Every network.
Oh, no, they have been crying. They have been, oh, my God. And not only that, you have these white farming groups. They've been going to CBC members, man, what can y'all do? And I'm like, hold up. Go talk to the white MAGA folks y'all voted for. These folks voted for MAGA. In the town where Tyson's in Nebraska shutting down one of their plants, that county voted 72% for Trump.
And Roland, they voted for Trump not one time, not two times. They voted for him 3 times. They voted for him 3 times. And when I came out for Harris, I came out for Harris swinging and campaigned for, endorsed to the whole 9 yards. White farmers were calling me and said, well, Democrats ain't never done nothing on farmers. They don't even talk about farmers. But guess what? This president is sending them into bankruptcy, farm foreclosure, farm suicides. All of those things are happening under his watch. And every press conference, this president starts out with, he says, sleepy Joe Biden did it. Joe Biden did not impose tariffs on China. This is Donald Trump's whole bread and basket. This is his baby from A to Z, Roland, and it happened from January to now. So within a year's time, this president is putting white farmers out of business, and his vice president, J.D. Vance, is buying the land under his company called Acre Trader. Y'all look it up if you don't believe me. So they got a master plan here, and what I'm telling black farmers is, no, man, apply. They're banking on you not to apply. Go into those local offices. As a matter of fact, Roland, I'm going tomorrow. I'm going to my local office tomorrow, and I'm going to apply. They are banking on black farmers not applying. They are banking on black farmers to miss the deadline, and they're banking on us not to go in and get farm serial numbers, report. We're going to do it this time. We're going to fix the ass, because, look, that's how they leave us out, and they know that this system that's in place is geared up for white farmers.
Yep.
Now, there's some stuff on the internet right now, Roland. I want to clean it up. This is not slave reparations. This is not a court case that you opt out of. It's not. It's not any of those things, Roland.
Yep.
It's a Trump-created program, and it's called Farmer Bridge Assistance Program, where he's going to compensate white farmers for the mistake he made. Now, here's what happened. He created this trade fiasco. He created the problem with tariffs and all this stuff. And then we turned around and had to pay tariffs on all of the parts that come in. And when my combines go down road, I have to wait for parts to come from other parts of the world because we don't make them here. And then I got to pay extra money. I got to pay extra money for these parts, man. So everything that that's happening on my farm right now, and I want to make something clear because, man, I read these comments, man. You got the baddest damn show on the internet, the baddest show that speaks directly into the heart of the black community. And they asked 2 or 3 questions at the same time. Did board vote for Trump? I did not vote for Trump. I supported and endorsed Harris. That's the first thing. Is board really a farmer? Yes, I'm really a farmer. I'm 4th-generation farmer. My daddy was a farmer. I come from the Boyd plantation. Our family farm has been in our family for over 100 years. And yes, I raise soybeans, all of these things. So I read those comments and I get so irritated out of the same ignorant question. They deserve what happened to them. I don't deserve this stuff. Donald Trump did this stuff. That's the first thing. We are dumped in this thing, and I'm saying because we're dumped into it, I want black people, black farmers in this case, to flood the offices and apply. Flood the offices and apply. And if you don't get it, me and Roland are going to help hold our USDA accountable.
See, this is the thing that really irritates me. I've seen all the stories you mentioned. These white farmers, we don't want a government handout.
Yes, they do.
You got one last time. Second of all, people really don't understand the power of the Department of Agriculture. Yeah. They don't understand that, listen, under Biden, then Congresswoman Marsha Fudge, she didn't want to be Secretary of HUD. She wanted agriculture, and she fought hard for agriculture. People have no idea that white folks, white farmers, They have controlled that USDA budget, the subsidies that they have gotten, the internal bank in the USDA that's funded all sorts of projects. And so folk need to understand this ain't some canned goods and some bushels and some oranges. No, we're talking billions upon billions of dollars that white farmers have controlled, and they ain't never wanted black folk to have a foothold in the USDA.
And you know what, Roland? Thank you for that plug. And listen, when you helped me do this, man, to your credit, $5 billion that we lied before we finally got it done for black farmers and returned our land out of federal inventory. White farmers could have said, hey, you know what, boy, how can we help you implement this, man? The black farmer's been done wrong. How can we help you do this? Instead, Stephen Miller went out and found white farmers and sued us in all these federal courts, blocking the aid to black farmers. But now they want all this money from the federal government when they're in trouble, Roland. I ain't never seen that one white farmer get on television and say, you know what happened to Boyd and them was bad, man. And people say, boy, you never explained the discrimination. Roland, they spat on me, spit, depending on what part of the country you're from, in his office. He spat in his tobacco can. That's what he told the people. Went on my shirt. They called me a nigger openly. I took him to court. The court said they only did it one time so they can do it. They tore my application up and threw it in the trash can in front of me, and they would only see us one day of the week, Wednesday, one day of the week, and we had to come in the back door. This happened, Roland, in my lifetime. So I get it when black farmers say, hey, boy, I don't want to go back in that office anymore. I don't want to apply. I don't trust them. But yes, I get all those things, but don't leave the money on the table, man.
Right.
Don't leave the money. We got to set that, look.
For everybody watching, John sent me this earlier. This is a video of his farm. So all y'all people who are on social media who love running y'all mouths, stuff along those lines, this is video of his farm. That's cattle. And let's take that, for example. We're talking about the cattle. Beef prices. I mean, beef prices have absolutely just collapsed. And again, Trump is sitting here, and he's been so arrogant saying, oh, yeah, y'all pipe down. I'll deal with y'all.
And you know what, Roland? And listen, there's a brother, man, up in West Virginia. He voted for Trump. I told him not to do it. Coal miner, hauling coal, and farming. His truck has been parked since Trump got elected. And you tell him not to do these things, Roland. I was telling them, but guess who was screaming at him? You was. You were the guy out there screaming on social media every day, don't get duped by Trump, and they done it anyway.
That's what we kept saying. We got shirts say hashtag, we tried to tell you. Like we told y'all, he screwed farmers last time.
Yes, we told them. And look here, everything this president has touched in agriculture has went from bad to worse. Soybeans, China, corn, Mexico, fertilizer, Canada, beef cattle. Now he wants to give the beef cattle business. He wants to buy that from his buddy in Argentina because he says, oh, I want to be like Trump. That's what all you got to do is say you like Trump and Roland, he wants to do business with you.
That's all you got to do.
He's playing black people. He got at that press conference last week and said, black people love me. Man, we got to hold him accountable. We don't love your ass.
Nope.
He needs to stop saying it. He needs to stop playing on it. He know black people don't love him, man.
Yep.
The problem was we didn't come out enough to help elect Harris.
Well, yeah, that was an autopsy. That was an autopsy on the race, Democratic autopsy, showing there was a 6.8 million voter drop from Biden to Harris in 2024. This is from The Nation. They have this piece here called "White Farmers Are Getting a Taste of Their Own Medicine." Yeah. Trump's tariffs and immigration raids are driving the latest farm crisis. White farmers have stood by him year after year and still do. And this is the whole thing right here. The governor of Nebraska earlier this year called Trump and said, hey, man, can you please stop these immigration raids? He said that we've lost 6% of our state gross domestic product because we don't have anybody to work the farms. Let's just be real clear. All of these white farmers who are sitting here saying, shut the border down, they have been hiring and they have been making money off of the work of illegal, of undocumented workers. That's what they've been doing. So the same people now who are complaining about how they can't find folk to work. I mean, we are hearing this, Nebraska, Mississippi, all these states. So it's like, oh, I don't want to hear anything because you may have to file for bankruptcy because you don't have any workers. You voted for this. Then it's like, well, no, I voted for this, not for that. It all came together. And this is the last time, this is what's crazy to me. I'm going to use a football analogy. The last time he was there, so he ran these plays in the first half. Now we're in the second half. And you shocked he running the same play?
The same play. And you know what, Roland, what kills me is he wants to give white farmers from South Africa.
Yep.
That's what I call them. I ain't giving them that fancy name from white farmers from South Africa. He wants to bring them he's bringing them to the United States, giving them a fast path to citizenship, and want to give them homesteads and land out of inventory at USDA and grazing land from the Department of Interior. And he wants to get rid of Ethiopians. He wants to get rid of Somalians. He wants to get rid of Haitians. Anybody that look like me and you, they got a deadline to leave this country, man. But they say, oh, it has nothing to do with race, but you only bringing in white farmers from South Africa, and you're going to give them a fast path to citizenship, and you want to take and get black people out of this country, man? We got to say hell no to this kind of rhetoric.
This article is interesting. This guy, Caleb Ragland, he's president of the American Soybean Association, says that farmers are going to lose about $44 billion this year. Look at this here. Ragland, for example, supported Trump dating back to 2019. Trump won a majority of USDA farming-dependent counties ahead of his first term. And within years of assuming office, his trade wars drove American farm exports to China down from $19.5 billion to $9 billion. That's a loss of $10.5 billion. Ultimately, farmers saw a decline of $27 billion in agricultural exports, nearly 71% of that attributable to soybean profit loss. But guess what? Ragland, a soybean farmer, still turned right back around and voted for Trump again in both 2020 and 2024. Here again, he was just one of many. Farmers increased their support. This is crazy. They lost money under Trump, massive, made money under Biden, but they increased their support for Trump by 5% in 2020, hitting 76% support, and then increased it again in 78 to 78%. And so it's like, oh, and then he got 80% of these farmers' votes. And now y'all want to go on TV weeping and moaning and gnashing of teeth. You literally voted for your own demise.
They really did, Roland. And you know what kills me is the only thing that this president is doing that he said he was going to do. First of all, they didn't want me at the meeting because I was trying to get in there. I was trying to say this is what we need to move and all this stuff. They didn't want me in the meeting. And it said something about they want to get away from DEI and all this stuff. Roland, ain't no DEI on my farm. My cows eat the same amount of hay as white man cows do. My tractor burns the same amount of fuel as a white farmer's tractor do. I got the same high cost that white farmers do. So why can't I have a seat at the table to air our grievances about what's going on in our particular population of black farmers? Because we got a whole set of different problems. Companies don't want us. They want to dog us. They want to dump on us. Government dumped on us. They don't want you at the table. They don't want us to apply for this money. And that's why I'm going to keep hitting that name, because I know This is a show to get it out there. Go in and apply. I'm going in tomorrow and apply. It's called Farmer Bridge Assistance Program. Take your information in there and sign up. And if they tell you no, come back and let me and Roland know, because we're going to hold their ass accountable, people.
Absolutely.
But you can't get it if you don't apply.
Yeah.
People out there telling them, don't apply. This is about slave reparations. Pay me $100, $500. Don't pay nobody a dime. It's free. Get up and go to your local farm service agent. Yes, the same people dogged us. Go back into those offices and put the ink to the paper and sign it at the end. And then if you don't get your money, you call us and let us know.
So this is from USDA.gov. Of the $12 billion provided, up to $11 billion will be used for the Farmers Bridge Assistance Program, which provides broad relief to United States row crop farmers who produce barley, chickpeas, corn, cotton, lentils, oats, peanuts, peas, rice, sorghum, soybeans, wheat, canola, cram, flax, mustard, rapeseed, safflower, sesame, and sunflower.
Yes.
Then it says farmers who qualify for the FBA program can expect payments to be released by February 28th, 2026. Eligible farmers should ensure their 2025 acreage reporting is factual and accurate by 5 p.m. Eastern on December 19th. 5 p.m. Eastern on December 19th. Today is December 15th. So, folks, you got till 5 p.m. Eastern by Friday. And then the remaining $1 billion of the $12 billion in bridge payments will be reserved for commodities not covered in the FBA program, such as specialty crops and sugar, for example. And so, again, if you have any questions, folks, to submit questions, justification for USDA Farmer Bridge Aid, or to request a meeting on Farmer Bridge Aid, producers can reach out to farmers. Y'all emails right here. Farmerbridge at USDA.gov. Farmerbridge at USDA.gov. John, final comment.
And Roland, I want to go a step further. This is my official statement on this on your show. Farmers go in and apply. We're not opting out anything. This isn't slave reparations. Stop spreading that false story on the internet. There is no money to apply. People charge $100, $500. Don't do it. It's a scam. It's free. Go into the local office, apply, and for those people who putting out that bad information, shame on you. You know, God got a special place for people like you. Stop doing it. Go into the office and apply. If you don't apply, you can't get it. This is John Boyd, President and founder of the National Black Farmers Association, and this is my official statement on Roland Martin, the right outlet to get this out to Black America.
All right, John, we appreciate it. Keep up the fight. We're staying right with you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. I want to bring in my panel real quick because, folks, what we're talking about here is, look, it's real. Dr. Ome Congo, being a senior professor at Lecture School of International Service at American University, author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racism out of D.C., Raven Schwam Curtis, content creator and keynote speaker out of Chicago, Teresa Lundy, principal founder, TML Communications out of Philadelphia as well. Raven, I'll start with you. Listen, he's wrecking the economy, pure and simple. This ain't even a conversation. And the thing is, these white farmers, it's just kind of like, oh, let's just keep just destroying ourselves. They keep voting for this fool, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened again.
What gives? Yeah. You don't get to be woe is me and then make decisions that create the woe is me conditions. You know, pick a struggle. Can't be both and, it's either or. Roland, I think you were really poignant in your sort of original comments on this, that this is a traditional Trump tactic. He manufactures a problem. He offers a solution or a partial solution or approximation of solution on a silver platter, pretends that he's doing some grand favor for us, and then uses that for great press, right? For good headlines that he really needs in a moment where he's getting a lot of bad press because of his failures around the economy and a whole host of other issues. So I think that's important to point out here first and foremost. I also want to ground us in some historical context here. We're talking about an industry in this country specifically built on the backs of our enslaved ancestors, right? It's not an accident that the vast majority of farmers in this country are white. That is the direct result of indigenous genocide, land theft, and the enslavement of our ancestors to procure mass wealth for white people in this country with no reparations for us, still fighting for that. There are programs that are starting around that, but certainly a fight that still rages on. So I just want to ground us in that truth. And to John's point, I think it was really important that he's calling our community in, right? Get this money while the money is good. Get this money while the getting is good. I think that's an important call in. And I also want to name it's understandable that our community is deeply skeptical, of various apparatuses in this country, whether it's the medical system, whether it's USDA. There is deep historical precedent for that. There has been and continues to be deep betrayal. And I think we have to recognize, when it's important to tap in and engage with resources that are critical for the growth and sustainability of our agricultural industry and for Black farmers.
It really is insane listening to these people, Omi Congo. I have seen more white farming tears on these TV shows, and I'm sitting there going, you contribute to your own demise. Like you really did it yourself. And what I've said to the Democrats is, y'all should say it. Y'all should look. Matter of fact, every time I see one of these stories, these some sorry-ass reporters, they should open up and say, before I begin the interview, did you vote for Trump?
Yeah. It's real. And some will say, I've seen some of these interviews as well, and some will say, well, we all shouldn't be grouped into one area. We all shouldn't be labeled as the same. But you did this, like, as Farmer John said, not once, not twice, but 3 times for this individual who played you the first time. If these guys voted for him the first time around, I don't know what their problem was, obviously, but you can get a pass for messing up your vote. But when you do it 2-3 times, you're committed to this guy. They chose whiteness over everything else, period, bottom line. Some of them, may have gone with Biden, a little bit in 2020. But when it came down to it, they went with whiteness. And they felt like this guy was going to take care of them. And I didn't realize you started off the segment by saying that some of these guys are now going to the Congressional Black Caucus, looking for some assistance and whatnot. So hopefully that means that they won't file any lawsuits this time around once Black people start trying to get their money. But with Stephen Miller around, you never know. These guys, look, I wouldn't be surprised, Roland, if some of these guys got Trump 2028 hats. That's how deep this is. And that's why, like you said, the Democrats got to be calling them out. The reporters got to call them out as well. This is a time for accountability. And just like Trump, people who did vote for him don't want to take accountability for what they did to help get us into this mess and to get them into a mess. And for Farmer John to say that prices were better for him 10 years ago when Obama left office, that should be all of the advertisement that you need right now. But they don't want to do it because they're sticking with him because whiteness prevails. And we have seen time and time again, Roland, many people will sacrifice their own lives for whiteness to prevail, even if they are not going to benefit. It's Lyndon B. Johnson all over again about teaching the lowest white man he's better than the best quote-unquote color man. He'll let you pick his pockets.
Teresa, and Democrats should be hammering these folks on this repeatedly.
You're absolutely right. If this wasn't a gift to the Democratic Party, that's something that, if I'm the Democratic Party and on that communications team, I would be actually looking at facts in and around our local neighborhoods and our certain districts. I know in Pennsylvania, we have rural and urban areas. And in some of these areas, in these rural areas, we have a lot of farmland. And so there are a few farmers that want to, quote, get in the game. But with Trump's bill and what they're proposing, they won't even have a chance. And so if I'm a Democrat and we know that in some of these counties where these farmlands are happening, and then we keep, saying diversity and inclusion and unity is our top priorities, then we need to really have a clear understanding of what that looks like and break it down so people understand why this matters. I think your guest was spot on when he said, listen, the scams and the gimmicks are A1 and really determining about this application. Like, the application process is free. Information is free. It's just the way it's disseminated, is for those who know and those who don't. But again, I think this is a real opportunity for the Democratic Party to really bring some of these national issues right at home, as we all just suffered some food insecurity in our own neighborhoods and communities.
All right, folks, going to a quick break. We come back, more about what's happening with this economy. And, of course, Affordable Care Act is tied right into that. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? Remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion, higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Godfrey, the funniest dude on the planet. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Well, in a few days, Congress is leaving D.C. for the holidays, and guess what? The enhanced tax credit that helped millions of families afford health insurance are going to expire. The Senate was unable to agree on a path forward, so House Republicans introduced their own plan that would allow Affordable Care Act subsidies to lapse at the end of the year. If Congress does nothing, premiums for individuals purchasing insurance on the exchanges could increase dramatically, with some prices rising by more than $1,000 a year. Chiquita Brooks LaSure, the former administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, is here to discuss the implications. Glad to have you on the show. So walk us through this. They leave town, nothing gets done. What happens?
Well, today is really a sad day for me and millions of people who depend on these tax credits to be able to afford coverage. Today is the deadline for people who depend on Affordable Care Act coverage to enroll for their coverage starting on January 1st. And just as you said, for many, many people, this means they had to make a choice whether to pay thousands of dollars more for some people to enroll in coverage. Some people, I've been talking to people over the last couple of weeks, some people made a decision to enroll in a plan that wasn't going to cover all of their costs just because they felt like that's what they could afford. And that's the decision that many, many Americans, hardworking Americans, self-employed Americans, small business owners, Americans have had to make over this last couple of weeks.
I mean, here's what's so stupid here. I mean, this is a piece right here at kff.org. More than 3 in 4 ACA marketplace enrollees live in states won by Trump in 2024. Mm-hmm. And you're like, and I've been saying this all year, and it is not because I want people to endure pain. It's not because I want people to go through this, but I said the only way some people are going to learn a lesson is if they experience significant pain. Because I think for a lot of these people, when they voted, oh yeah, it's those people. It's those people. Oh yeah, that's right. That anti-DI stuff. Oh yeah, that's the blacks. That's them. Oh yeah, the wall. Oh yeah, go after these Latinos, these little immigrants. Oh no, we're good. And now they're realizing, oh damn, we hate Obamacare, but it's the same as the Affordable Care Act. Oh, we're in West Virginia. We are red as hell. We voted for all these Republicans, but we're the sickest, brokest, one of the most illiterate states in the union, and we greatly depend upon federal money. And now we're screwed. South Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Texas. We can go on and on and on. Arkansas. All these places, and you're like, we told you. But yes. they got their big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, as you said. I mean, I would say a couple of things. One, whether we're covered on Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act or not, we all pay the price when people lose health coverage because hospitals across our country are very dependent on Medicaid, and the ACA coverage has really helped them to make sure that they get the care, that they get paid for the care that they deliver. And what we have already started to see as a result of the bill that was passed earlier this year by Congress is that there are places across this country, often in rural areas, where hospitals are already starting to make changes, where hospitals are closing, where hospitals are saying, oh, we can't keep open our labor and delivery units. And so, again, I think that one of the reasons why what you said is true, that in a lot of the red states, we, during the Biden administration, actually saw the significant increases in enrollment. And it was for two reasons. One, because many of those states haven't expanded Medicaid, and so they were even more dependent on ACA or Obamacare subsidies than some of the other states. And that's why we are going to see a lot of people in these areas who are seeing their coverage become much more expensive.
Yeah, right here. from KFF.org. Since the enhanced premium tax credits were introduced, the number of people who receive health coverage through the ACA marketplaces has more than doubled. And more than half, 55%, of the national growth comes from Texas, red, Florida, red, Georgia, red, North Carolina, red. In 6 states, Texas, Trump won, Louisiana, Trump won, Mississippi, Trump won, Tennessee, Trump won, Georgia, Trump won, West Virginia, Trump won. Enrollment has more than tripled in 5 years. In Florida, West Virginia, and Alabama, 98% of people enrolled in marketplace coverage receive federal financial premium assistance, and 99% do in Mississippi. Oh, but they can't be. We don't want that pesky government stuff. We want to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. But the government is actually paying for your boots.
And it pays for everyone's boots. Every coverage in our country is subsidized in some way, shape, or form by the federal government. If you get coverage through your employer gets a tax cut and tax break as a result, and so do you. If you're covered by TRICARE, if you're covered by Medicare. So why should we treat the ACA any different? It's important that coverage be subsidized in part so that people can get the care that they need. Again, it helps all of us, not just those of us who are dependent on the program, because we all benefit from having providers, doctors, nurses, hospitals across this country be able to see people when they get sick and make sure they get paid for it.
Well, I think come January 4th, 5th, it's going to be a lot of howling coming from a lot of places. And you have some nervous Republicans, especially those 35 Republicans who are from purple districts. They're really going to be running themselves scared. So we'll see. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Maria Bartiromo swears the economy is fantastic. I think she's high as hell. We'll talk about that next, the state of the economy, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do the kind of work that we do. If you want to contribute to our fan club, please, you want to do so via Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. That's also for credit cards at bottom left-hand corner. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo's RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at Roland S. Martin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Back in a moment.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. America is being reshaped in real time by a group of 6 people, unelected and without any checks and balances. By the end of the current Supreme Court session, education, the workplace, who gets to elect our leaders, and so much more could radically change. This week, we reconvene our legal roundtable and look at what the new America may look like and how we should respond. That's next on the Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? Remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion, higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Michael McMillan, President and CEO of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
I can't remember, was it a movie or was it a comedy special? And the person was making this comment about some crazy stuff that somebody said, and they said, that must be some good shit you're on. Well, they must have some seriously great weed over at Fox Business. Because Maria Bartiromo, you know, long ago, she's at CNBC. She was one half of the Money Honeys. Don't ask me why. I've seen her in person. So anyway, she literally said this on Fox News. Because you got to remember, she is a massive, I mean, her supply of chapstick to kiss Trump's ass costs her a lot of money per month, okay? Listen to this.
People are frustrated with housing and the price of homes. People are frustrated with certain food items. But there are a number of things that President Trump has already been incredibly successful doing. So when he says this affordability issue is a hoax, he's right. He's basically talking about how the Democrats have taken this word affordability and used it as their calling card for the 2026 elections. They think that these Democrat wins that we just saw in Miami, in New York City, in other places like New Jersey, we shouldn't be surprised that the Democrats won those races. These are all blue states and cities, so it's no surprise there. What is a surprise is that after all of these years, the Republicans keep getting rolled over by the Democrats' messaging. I got to tell you, I don't think that people really feel as bad as the Democrats are talking about. The economy is doing well. There's $18 trillion of new investment that have come into this country.
For more delusion, here is Trump's top economic person, Kevin Hassett, talking to, his daughter-in-law. Like you're going to get some real information talking to that idiot.
Well, if you had a crystal ball and you looked to the very end of President Trump's second term in office, where would you expect to see this economy?
I think that we're already right on the cusp of having the greatest economy that the U.S. has ever seen. I think that Trump policies are about as good as it gets.
Tina Peters. Really? New polls show 31% of voters approve of Trump's handling of the economy. His worst economic rating yet. Families are struggling with affordability. Again, still the orange one is bragging about how amazing the stock market is and promising to, quote, make America affordable again. He continues to dismiss the concerns of high prices as a hoax cooked up by Democrats. Okay, so here's the thing that I find to be hilarious here. He announces affordability as a hoax. Wasn't he running on affordability last year? Oh, so affordability was real last year. but it's a hoax. Now, like I said, that must be some good shit they're smoking. Morgan Harper is the Director of Policy and Advocacy for the American Economic Liberties Project. She joins me now. Morgan, glad to see you. These people literally are high. I mean, this idea that, no, the rest of you, you're totally wrong, you're crazy, and you're looking at Bartiromo going, yeah, it ain't no problem for you, because you damn near making $20 million a year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this disconnect between what real people are experiencing, which the polling data would reflect, and they're saying, the American people are speaking pretty clearly, and they have been for some time, that all is not well in the economy. And what pundits who have been very closely tied to the administration and, to your point, his family members are saying are neither here nor there. These are totally different existences. And I think, continuing to point to the stock market, as we've talked about, Roland, kind of neglects the fact that a lot of people are not playing on the stock market. And if they are active on the stock market, it's through in a passive way in mutual funds. And they are still living with the reality that being involved in the stock market even a little bit is not enough to guarantee you any kind of financial stability. Most people in America recognize, to the conversation you were having before, that you are one illness away from having financial devastation, and there's nothing that Fox News or Donald Trump can say to wish that away. And that's what a lot of American people are looking for, is real solutions. But we're dealing with a crony federal government right now that is just about rewarding friends and not solving real problems. And the economic problems are mounting.
Oh, yeah. So here is Bryson DeChambeau, same thing, who got paid millions of dollars to lead the PGA Tour for Live Golf. So he's at the White House, and he's just, hey, guess what? Let me just kiss more Trump ass. Listen.
Current U.S. Open champion, please.
My goodness. Well, I did not know I was going to be coming up here today, but I got to say thank you. And what the president done in this term has been incredible, right? It's the greatest economy that we've ever had. And just to be serving on the President's Council of Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition has been such an honor. And the First Lady looks so beautiful, by the way. And I'll say cheers to the greatest economy that we've had in a long, long time.
Yeah, more bullshit.
If a golfer says it, it must be true about the economy.
Well, when Live Golf gives you a $125 million check to come play, yeah, I think things are great in your life, Bryson.
Yeah, I mean, in the beauty of the First Lady, I have no idea what that has to do as an economic indicator. But here's what the reality is. And this, again, is showing up in all the data. Take any facet of American life.
Data that we can actually check, because they stopped releasing the data. They don't want to release jobs numbers because they know it's bad.
Right.
I mean, it's all kinds of stuff they're canceling because they know it sucks.
Right. But even the things that are available, like utility prices, for example, I mean, these are continuing to go up. People are now reporting that they have utility bills, even if we're just talking about electricity, that are getting into the hundreds of dollars a month to heat a household. Add on to that gas, same dynamic, completely out of control markets that are at the whim of Wall Street. And the American people, again, are saying very clearly, we can't keep up with this. And so to see this disconnect with what's going on in the administration and just how much people are struggling, it's a pretty scary time.
3-time Trump voter here on CNN. Watch this.
My kids' daycare went up. Can't afford the cost of food. Using credit cards for everyday expenses. No money left after their bills are paid. Pretty much just a whole bunch of financial mess.
We changed presidents at the beginning of the year.
We did.
And the guy who moved into the White House said that he was going to fix it. Several times he said it would be easy.
Absolutely.
Has he fixed it?
Absolutely not. I'm definitely waiting for him to fix it.
Jones is a 3-time Trump voter, but she says he has simply failed to keep his promise to lower the cost of living.
I'm very let down by that. Very, very let down, because I feel like it's only gotten worse.
No, you fell for the okie doke. Again, so many of these people, this woman, farmers and others, they believed his lies, and now they're stuck. Now they're having to live with it, and we're sitting here going, we tried to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is devastating to hear people, even if they voted for Trump, to have to go through this struggle of getting through daily life. So I don't want to diminish that at all, but it is the reality that a lot of this was predictable. President Trump has put out a lot of talk, but you cannot staff. Let's just look at the basics of how he has managed this administration. You cannot staff your administration with people who have no background in these issue areas and expect that any useful policy is going to come out of that. And to our earlier point, I mean, we have some really complicated problems that we need to solve in this country. Let's look at healthcare, for example. Beyond just the subsidies of the ACA, we have a market that has been totally captured by large healthcare conglomerates, and we have no vision on the table from this administration as to what to do about it. Should more people be in Medicare, for example? Right. That is not an easy thing to pull off. That requires people to have a background in understanding the healthcare industry. Yeah. To be able to then implement a better solution.
Then again, when you also have the richest cabinet in history, they don't really give a damn. I do have to ask you this, because this is the one that drives me crazy before we go to our panel with questions for you. So she said here, oh, my God, it's amazing. So she threw out, we got $19 trillion in new investment. I saw some talking head on some clip on CNN. I saw it on social media going, $22 trillion in new investment. Okay, here's why that's insane. Go to my iPad here. The United States, I just want y'all to understand, when we're talking GDP, okay, we're talking GDP, give me, okay, look right here. These are the top, let me squeeze it in here. These are the top 15 countries by GDP. The United States is a $30 trillion economy. China is a $19 trillion economy. Those two are the only ones that with those digits. Germany, 5. Japan, 4. India, 4. United Kingdom, 3. France. Trump touts the trillions that Saudi Arabia is going to be investing. Y'all, the GDP of Saudi Arabia is only $1.27 trillion. They're lying, Morgan. There's not $18 trillion in new investment. $18 trillion in new investment would qualify as the third largest economy in the world. That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is made up. Even the investment that's happening, I think we're seeing it for things like a new data center or whatever. You take that overall amount.
They just making shit up.
They're making shit up.
Because it's 6, 8, no, it's 10, no, it's 12, no, it's 14, no, it's 18, no, it's actually 20.
Right. Well, and then again, the data that we do have is showing on the core promises that the president made about bringing manufacturing jobs back. Manufacturing jobs are down from this point a year ago by the tune of 50,000. And our trade deficit is increasing. So we are continuing to import more than we're exporting. This is not a revival of an American economy that is rooted in building things or employing people. It is a game that we are being bought and sold to the highest bidder that gets in Trump's ear.
Questions for the panel. Teresa, what's your question for Morgan?
Hey, Morgan. Hi. Thank you so much for that high-level overview. You know, as we just kind of went back and saw that clip of the reality versus the economic polls, how do people learn to actually trust what they're seeing and also face the reality of what they're dealing with, especially in Trump's economy?
Yeah, I mean, I think this gets to something you all were talking about earlier, is we have to have spokespeople out there that are calling out the BS, identifying the lie, but not stopping there, also talking about a better path, a different solution. So let's come back to healthcare, for example, which I touched on earlier. You know, yes, the ACA subsidies, we need to protect those. But when we have people that are saying oh, we're just going to start accounts for people, like we've heard from some of the Republicans, we're going to start these healthcare accounts and everything will be okay. We need to be no, but here's what would be better. Why don't we let more people get into Medicare so that we have predictable pricing? That's a substantive idea. Why are we not banning prior authorization that then slows down the delivery of health care? These are all concrete solutions that would allow people who do have an interest in government looking out for people, lowering costs, having something that people can really understand as a better alternative rather than getting lost in all of the misinformation and lies that are coming out of the White House.
Right. So Trump threw out $21 trillion in new investment. This is CBS right here. The White House put a list together. It includes more than 100 corporate commitments totaling just over $3 trillion. Yes, some of the largest were originally unveiled years before Trump took office and were backed by federal funding under President Biden's administration. They're full of shit. Omekongo, your question.
Thank you, Morgan, for all you do to keep us informed. My question ties to this segment as well as the last one when we were talking about healthcare. What are you seeing as it relates to the potential red state, blue state outcomes to what's happening? Because you talk to Scott Besson, he'll say, hey, just move to a red state. The economy is doing much better there. But we also know that blue states are the ones that fund red states. Are blue state governors going to be reacting to this better, or are both red and blue states just going to be screwed? How are you seeing that dynamic playing out?
Well, that is another example of complete BS. I can report from the heartland, living in Ohio, a red state at this point, that people are not faring better economically. I've heard nothing but small business owners complain about how tariffs are impacting their businesses, people complaining again about these electricity prices that continue to go up. And let's stick with that as an electricity prices as an example. These utility dynamics of we have utility monopolies that are very much beholden to Wall Street, and they are using financial manipulation to drive up these costs. That's everywhere. That's every state in the United States of America. So I think it is incumbent upon us to, again, identify the lie, but then also understand what's going on that is driving up some of the costs for constituents in red states, in blue states, and we're going to find it's actually not that different. The difference is that we are, in some states, fortunate to have people at the top of these state governments that are looking to actually solve problems. And we do need to make sure that they have full information about how they can actually deliver the solutions that are going to help people and make sure that they understand how to make better electoral decisions. But it's not the case that, people on the ground in red and blue states are having wildly different experiences. It's actually quite similar. I think the data center thing, another good example. Ohio, big state with a lot of data centers. I was just reading today, another state with a ton of data centers that are trying to figure out how to manage that all. Maryland, blue state, totally different political dynamics, same experience on the ground that people are having these higher electricity prices.
Raven.
Yeah, Morgan, thank you so much for your time and expertise this evening. I really want to pick up the conversation around the big, beautiful bill, so-called big, beautiful bill, and unpack a recent statement that was made by Trump's Treasury Secretary that essentially Americans are going to get a, quote, very large refund of about $1,000 to $2,000 in the new year as a result of the big, beautiful bill. Obviously, we know that's nonsense.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit. This bill is created by the rich for the rich. But can you break that down a little bit for us, for folks who may see that number amount and think, oh, this bill is actually working for me?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's the first thing.
Sorry.
That has to be a congressional action. Trump just can't just hand out money. The Constitution clearly states anything that deals with revenue has to start in the U.S. House.
Sure, although we are in an environment where Trump is just kind of
right, like whatever.
So he could get some private donor and then start sending people out checks. I don't think we have any idea what exactly that might look like or what these people might do as they enter this period of desperation where they know that the economy is not doing well and they're going to try to distract people from that reality. So that I will just get out there. And again, I mean, it's, not to continue to beat a dead horse here, but I do think it's important to call this stuff out. This is not a real conversation. Yeah, it's all made up. These are lies. And this is no way to run an economy if we are trying to make sure that people are actually building stable lives here. And so Big Beautiful Bill was a complete giveaway to the rich, large corporations. When we're talking about investment that's coming in from other countries and we're talking about Saudi investment funds, I mean, look at this Netflix deal. This is another one where they're probably going to tout the fact that the Saudis or actually it's the Paramount side of it, that the Saudis are funding the Paramount offer that's coming from Jared Kushner to be able to give us the great pleasure of further consolidating our media industry. Is that going to be part of the tally of how much great investments coming into the U.S.? So none of this stuff is serious about actually improving people's lives. We have to continue to identify that. And yeah, I mean, I personally think it's possible that they might just do something random to try to get people money. Like you saw, Secretary Duffy is now announcing he's giving bonuses to Amtrak workers. This is all signs of desperation because they know that none of this is real, and they're just hoping that they can skip by long enough so that the American people don't notice
I'm
it.
sure he'll be handing out the fake checks that Noam did to the TSA workers when she tried that same crap a few weeks ago. That's who they are. Morgan, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, going to go to a break. We come back. We'll talk to one of the 44 founders of the National Association of Black Journalists celebrating his 50 years. Next on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it. They joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Melanie Campbell, National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable. And we are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered all day, every day, 24/7. Spread the word.
Years ago on Friday, December 12th, 44 black journalists met in a Washington, D.C. hotel that led to the founding of the National Association of Black Journalists. One of those folks joins us right now, Sandra Long Weaver. Glad to have you here on the show. Sandra, where were you working at the time?
Hello, Roland. Thank you for having me. I was a reporter for the Wilmington, Delaware News Journal. It was my first job out of college.
How did you find out about this meeting?
I found out through I had joined. Even Wilmington, Delaware is about 30 miles away from Philadelphia, and I had joined the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. I would drive up once a month to Philadelphia to meet other black journalists because there were no other black journalists in my newsroom. It was pretty much me. There was a black sports reporter, but he worked at night, so I never saw him.
So Philadelphia had a journalism chapter before there was a National Association of Black Journalists.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And and that's what happened across the country. There were a number of cities that had journalism chapters. And then once the National was founded, they folded into the National as well. But Philadelphia was there first. In the Philadelphia area, we like to think of ourselves as the founding chapter of the national organization.
So the list that we're seeing right here, that literally is, guys, if you go back to that, please, and just freeze it for me. That actually was a sheet that was passed around where folk actually signed. In the documentary, Dwayne Wickham, who was the later became president, NABJ, one of your fellow founders, he said, we didn't really even know we were founders. We were just like at a meeting.
Right.
So take us into that meeting. What was the discussion like? How long did it last?
Let's see now, this is 50 years ago. So, but I know we were there for more than an hour, and there were actually more than 44 of us, because there was a sheet, an attendance sheet of those who attended this meeting. And we had gotten, some of us were able to get our news organizations to send us to DC to cover a Black gathering of legislators. And so, but we were pulling together as Black journalists to talk about why can't we have a national organization as well. So that's why we gathered. And I remember I sat on the floor. It was in a hotel room. It was crowded. And as the yellow sheet came around, some of us signed, some of us did not. There were people who were concerned. I have a family. I can't sign this. I may lose my job. So that was a concern that you had to think about. I was 23, very young, and I said, well, I'm going to sign it. I'm here. I want to be a part of this movement. I want to know other Black journalists and, having the same issues that I'm having, navigating your newsroom, getting stories on the front page, getting those good assignments in your newsroom. How did we do all of that? How could we make that work for us?
And was there a backlash?
If there was a backlash, I did not feel it. I felt support from my white colleagues in my newsroom for being a part of this organization. But there were people who wondered, well, why do we need a Black organization? You can be a part of something else, or but really you couldn't. And the issues were different. They didn't address the issues or concerns that we had.
But also what people don't understand is this is 1975. The Kerner Commission report came out in 1968. Yes. They didn't agree on much, but that report said that they were there to study the race riots of 67. And they said there were two Americas, one white, one Black, and they largely blamed news media for lack of representation in those newsrooms. So really, y'all were part of the first wave of Black journalists who went into white newsrooms. Really, after that 68 report, we're talking about 69, 70. So really, that first 5 to 7 years, that was the first wave of Black journalists being hired at what was before white newsrooms.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Because there were a few newsrooms that had one or two. If they had more than one or two Black journalists, it was an exception. But most newsrooms didn't have any Black journalists. So they weren't in the communities. They weren't covering the issues of the communities, not only just covering the issues, the concerns, but also the good things of what is Black life about? What is it like? There was no cultural coverage of what was going on. We were in that first wave and often had to fight to get the stories that we felt were important to the Black community on the front page or even into the newspaper. Because they didn't always, white editors, mostly white male editors, did not see the importance of the stories that we also felt were important. And there certainly were not Black editors who were in the news meetings to advocate for your story. So you really had to learn how to navigate the newsroom and push for the stories that you felt were important to get them recognized.
You obviously, over the last 50 years, saw an increase in influx, more next generation, wave after wave after wave, but then you still had a lot of media outlets that still had one or two, very few executives in charge. Now we're seeing even more contraction, where we're seeing jobs lost, and we're seeing in many of these places where it's Black journalists who are on the cutting board, the ones who are getting laid off. And so it's sort of like back to the future, if you will.
And in a lot of ways, Roland, it is. That's one of the things that NABJ had done and continues to do a good job of really pushing for Black journalists to be hired, but not just hired and coming in the door and doing the entry-level jobs, but being hired into positions where you're directing coverage, where you're throughout the newsroom. When I was hired, there were no Black copy editors. There were no Black entertainment writers. There was no Black city editor. All of those positions now, you can, in looking across the country, you can often find Black journalists who are in those positions. But to your point, especially in newsrooms, when newspapers started to contract, and not just newspapers, but also television stations, it was the last hired, first fired. And because we weren't there from the beginning, often we are the first ones who are fired. So again, then you're still recycling, still trying to hire more people, especially Black journalists, to come into the business.
Question for my panelists. I'll start with you first, Raven.
Well, thank you so much for sharing these insights and your experience with us. I'm so curious to hear in this moment where we're seeing tremendous white backlash and sort of this reversal of so many of the gains that you've made, what path you see forward for Black journalists today. How do we continue to fight the good fight?
The same way we always have. We still push for stories in our newsrooms, but in today's world, there's also more opportunity for online coverage. The program that we're doing, programs like Roland's did not exist in 1975 or even in 1980. It's been years getting to this point. So it's pushing for the stories, creating alliances in your newsroom, making sure that you don't give up. You still have to, it's the resilience. We talk about being resilient, and that's why we're still here 50 years later. And we do excellent work. So our work needs to be recognized across the board. You have to continue to tell the stories of what's going on in the Black community, what's important to us. We used to say, once you get your foot in the door, then you have to bring somebody else also behind you. You advocate for someone else that you know in the business who should be in your newsroom, who can make that difference in the coverage that that should be going on.
Omekongo?
Thank you so much for the legacy that you have set for so many of us. My question regards AI. How do you see the future of not only journalism, but particularly as it relates to Black journalists getting their foot in the door when people are competing so much with AI and writing stories and newsrooms disappearing? Are you concerned about that? Have you experienced something like this similar in the past? What are your thoughts as it relates to that going forward?
When the internet first came onto the scene in the mid to late 90s, there was concern that Black journalists may lose jobs then. Every time there is a change in technology, something that can push things forward, there's always that concern. AI is a concern, but we're on the front end of it where we can also start to use it to tell better stories, to really ramp up the ethics and to know the difference. We also have to educate our readers too, and not just our readers, but also our viewers, so they know the difference between a voice that's not authentic. And that's one of the big differences that we as Black journalists have. We have authentic voices. We can use AI to enhance our stories, but use it, making sure that we're being ethical about it. I don't see it as something we should fear, but something that we should really learn how to use and do better work to expand what we're doing, to reach other people who aren't really connected to us. So I think we should see it as an opportunity and take advantage of it.
Teresa.
Thank you so much for coming on. You know, I'm here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. So I definitely do see the work that we do locally and nationally. So thank you so much for your initial service and continued advocacy. I think one of my concerns is always in the DEI and minority space, as I do run a business. And I was wondering about the advocacy, you know, especially with all the slice coming down from the federal level of the lack of using the term diversity, equity, and inclusion. Wanted to see like what maybe in a BJ's role would be on advocating to make sure that minority businesses still have a seat at the table.
Well, I'll actually, before Sandra jumps in, since I'm back on the board as Vice President Digital, it is different. It's a huge change. We saw a dramatic decrease in the number of companies recruiting at our convention in Cleveland this year compared to last year. We are preparing ourselves, I dare say fortifying ourselves for the next 3 years because the companies that frankly didn't really want to do this work, Trump has given them reason not to do it. So one of the things that we are also looking at when we talk about advocacy is still challenging these companies to say, if you are committed, then are you really committed? I think the key is what we can't do, and Sandra, and I guess for me, I guess I'm sort of in a different position than some of our younger members in that, you know, we had our founders in 75. I joined NABJ in 1989, so we were 14 years old. And so many of those founders I met, I knew, I talked to, I sat at their feet, I listened to them. So the spirit of a Chuck Stone, our first president, a Les Payne, a Vernon Jarrett, I could go on and on and on. So, I mean, so I carry that with me. And so when the challenging of going into those meetings, going to those advocacy meetings, it's a little different than folks who didn't know those folks, who didn't listen to those war stories, who didn't, frankly, and many of them, like especially Vernon, actually, not mandated. Well, I will say mandated. Wanted to hear that I was committed to following in their footsteps. So what we have to do is we have to, I believe, let next generation know, frankly, you can't punk out. You can't get weak. You can't accept less. There's a level of, I dare say, militancy that is still needed among leadership to challenge these media companies.
Roland, I'm in absolute agreement with you on that point. And you do, when you say you can't punk out, and that's what I talk about, the resilience. And we have been resilient. We did not give up. There's a number of times I thought I should have gotten a promotion, did not get it. I didn't quit the business. I hung in. I came around and tried to do it, come in a different way. When I did leave the Philadelphia Inquirer in 2011, I was a vice president for news for the Inquirer and for the Daily News. And that was also a period in 2011 when you were starting to combine news desks and copy desks and how we produced newspapers. So again, change in the business and how we did things, but we can't. We have to hang in. If we don't continue to tell our stories, then somebody else is going to tell that narrative. And that's not what we want. And from the very beginning, we wanted to be able to tell our stories, make sure that we are there. And also, NABJ does include people from the Black press. And the Black press has been there for almost 200 years now, telling stories of what's going on in the Black community and how we've been impacted. I've also worked for the Black press. I've almost 10 years spent time at the Tennessee Tribune and telling stories and getting a different perspective of what it was like from those freedom riders who are now dying off. But their stories of what they did on to push us forward as well. So
I came up with this idea that our board accepted this Jubilee Endowment campaign because where we are now is we've spent all of these years, Sandra, fighting for African Americans to be in these places. And listen, we've got individuals who are NABJ members who are making $3, $4, $5, $8, $10, $20 million. And the reality is we now have to look inward. So one of the things that we've done with this, the goal is to raise $15 million over 4 years. Over the past 50 years, we've had different people talk about we need an endowment. We have investments, but we do not have an actual endowment. And part of this is that they have what I call a golden circle. And that's to get 100 individuals or corporations to contribute a minimum of $100,000 each. If 100 folks do that, that'll raise $10 million. So we're two-thirds the way towards our goal. And that's a $25,000 commitment each year. I've said to many of those folks, look, you need the tax breaks. So you're going to give your money away to somebody, so you might as well do NABJ. But this is one of the things that I have been saying on this show for a very long time, and by getting back on the board and why we have to do this is because in this moment where black institutions, as I keep saying, is that MAGA wants to defund black America. This is where we are going to have to fortify black institutions. I would love for Mackenzie Scott, who's given more than $700 million to HBCUs. Would love for her to cut a check to NABJ. But look, I don't even know how to reach her. But the bottom line is we have to have members of our organizations, whether it's NABJ, whether it's National Society of Black Engineers, whether it's National Black MBAs. We need to have members who are ensuring the future survival of our organizations. And that's why we have this endowment campaign.
Yeah, and I think it's a great campaign, and I think it will push us forward for the next 50 years. It is still amazing to me that we have survived. We're still here. We're thriving. We grew from 44 members to over 4,000 in this 50 years. And we're still attracting new members. Young people are still coming into the organization, depending on us for scholarships, for training, and training not just on an entry level, but also training to move up into your newsroom, to run a newsroom, to run a company. All of those things are depending on us. So this endowment, you're right, will fortify us, help us go forward and be an even stronger organization as we head toward move into the future.
Well, as always, I remember we were at, I forgot which convention, and Barbara Sierra was the president, and she gave me the President's Award. And I stood up and I said, guys, as an alpha, we never have any events where we don't recognize our seven jewels. I said, and we have too many NABJ events with founders sitting in our presence and we don't even recognize them. So so folks started changing that after that. I said, that should never happen. So I'm always appreciative of the folks who paved the way for those of us to be able to be NABJ members now, today. And so, Sandra, thanks for your service. We appreciate it. And we're going to keep walking in those footsteps, giving them hell.
All right. And thank you, Roland. I appreciate all that you do. And as in that documentary, Norma Wade Adams said, the torch has been passed and the young people picked it up. You picked it up, and then we're still passing it on to that next generation. So it's greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
Folks, if you want more information on the NABJ Jubilee Endowment Campaign, go to the NABJ website at nabjonline.org. Go to my iPad. Come on. This is the campaign. If you go to nabjonline.org, you got more information. And we'll be adding the links very soon. Trust me, I'll be calling the national office. So if you want to make a contribution to the endowment campaign, you can. Let me thank Teresa, Raven, and Ome Congo for being on today's panel. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much, folks. Great to see y'all. Coming up next, a great conversation. Demaurice Smith, former head of the NFL Players Association, executive director. I will chat with him about his new book, Turf Wars. It is an unbelievable book. And if you think you understand the NFL and pro sports, I can guarantee you, you do not want to miss this conversation. Next, right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking about the ups and the downs of the holidays, the ebb and flow of life, those things that keep us running and gunning. But you know, there comes a time in each of our lives where we need to just sit down, sit back, and relax, giving you a chance to really find out who you are and how you're going to move your life forward.
How do I learn? How do I grow from this? And that's where, resilience comes.
So I'm literally walking this out in real time. It's just giving myself all the grace, all the space, all the permission that I need.
We're talking about all of these things this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood Show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood Show and the Roland Martin Show? Well, whatever show it's going to be good.
All right, folks, I've been reading sports books since I was a kid. Y'all know when I was brought up in Houston, I would do 300 books a summer. We went to the library, and my mom made us check out the maximum number of books every week, not the minimum number of books. And so I really got into a lot of sports books. Then, of course, as I got older, and then I said I'm going to leave the children's section, and I went to the other side of the Pleasantville library, where I said that was the adult books, and then began to read books. And so many of those books were about sports characters, Lou Gehrig and Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, and others. But that's one facet of sports. The other facet is the business of the business. And too many of us, as fans, we are fixated on the fandom of sports, not understanding the real life and death implications involved in sports. Well, in a new book called Turf Wars, The Fight for the Soul of America's Game, it is written by Demaurice Smith. He is the former executive director of the NFL Players Association. It is an absolutely riveting book that really takes you inside. And when I say inside, I'm talking inside, not only of the NFL and the commissioner and the owners, but also the players and their psyche. And Demaurice joins us right now, man. Glad to see you.
Very much.
As you can see,
for having me.
See, look, I read books.
That's the way I want to see it.
I read books.
Same thing.
So I don't particularly like, sometimes I'll take the cover off, but this is what happens when you travel. So I'll be taping mine up.
I love it.
So let's get right into it. You spent 14 years as head of the NFL Players Association, following the legend, Gene Upshaw. And he was a player. Mm-hmm. That right there was an issue. Yep. And it is an issue because, well, people have to understand this union, it's the NFL Players Association. It's theirs. But their job is to play football. Correct. Their job is not to know the ins and outs of labor agreements, legal precedent, things along those lines. Yeah. So you walking in, that had to be coming from corporate law, coming from federal prosecution. That had to be a culture shock learning curve to understand that also they're my bosses.
100%. Look, first of all, you mentioned the GOAT, and that was Gene. And, Gene ran the union for decades, played as a player for decades. The most precious thing that I ever had in the union building was the only helmet that Gene Upshaw wore. And I kept that in the building for one reason. It is covered in duct tape. It's got chip paint. But Gene really represented that hard nose. We're going to play football in a tough way. We're also going to run this union in a tough way. And that's the way that I wanted to run the union. And coming in from, like you said, 10 years as a prosecutor, another 10 years representing big companies, it's a bit of a culture shock. The players are young, and they love playing the game. For almost all of them, it's also their first job.
Right.
Right. And I think, it took me a while to start giving them a little bit more of a cushion, a little bit more of a grace. But, I remember my first job working at a restaurant sub shop, and you realize in your first job that the boss doesn't care for you. The players of the National Football League sometimes have to be shocked out of this complacency that they're joining a family. Right. That they're part of the Jets family, that they're part of the NFL family.
Well, but we just saw it, and I text you. Oh, yeah. Is it T. Higgins?
Yeah.
So this brother, concussion. Yeah. They put him back into the game, and then when it's over, he's giving an interview, he said, well, I got to be there for my guys. And you're like, no. Dude, okay, no. You're going to have another 20, 30, 40, 50 years of life. You may not be present for your family.
100%. And that's the culture you have to break them out of. And look, we put in the new concussion protocols in 2011. It was not popular. Certainly wasn't popular with fans.
It's still not.
Still not. But I did see a change, which when we texted back and forth about that the other day, that's the slip back that I'm starting to see. 2011, we put in these protocols. It's a year or two before players get their heads around them. But slowly, players start to understand, wait, this is a job. I'm a husband. I'm a son. I'm a father. I'm going to have a balance of my life, not playing football.
But remember, 2011, what you also had, these back-to-back of players killing themselves.
We did.
CTE. So it was constantly.
Well, and we drilled it in.
There you go.
And we drilled it in. And look, almost famously, when I texted you back, near the end, we were in a situation where a doctor put Tua back into the game.
Miami Dolphins quarterback.
And we opened up, I authorized an investigation of exactly how did he make that decision to put him back in. And when that doctor refused to participate in the investigation, I fired him. Everybody lost their minds, especially the league, especially the doctor. But again, Roland, hey, look, you have one job.
Right.
Your job is not to be a fan.
First of all, you are a doctor.
You're a doctor.
You have a Hippocratic oath.
Just do the Hippocratic oath and we're good.
But what we learned with Dr. Omothalo, what we learned with even the movie that came out, what we learned is that the doctors were operating like they were fans.
Oh, 100%.
The doctors were not operating as these independent medical. It was kind of like, no, you work for the team. or
for the league,
or your hospital is the official partner of the team. And so your job is not to the well-being of the athlete, is to get his butt back on the field fast as possible.
I'll give you one further, and it sounds like the punchline to a joke. When I took the job in 2009, the head of the league's concussion committee was a rheumatologist.
Not a neurosurgeon.
A rheumatologist. He was the one that tried to block Dr. Amalu's studies. And I was the first one that hired Bennett into the NFL family because I wanted him to tell us, how do we build a new set of structures to keep players safe? And he, and along with another great group of doctors, were the ones that came up with the new concussion protocols. But, Roland, that's the job. The job is to not be a fan. I'm not there to make the players happy. I'm not there to make the owners happy. Sure as hell. My job is to try to make the players better.
Right.
And that culture change means
them.
Correct. And that means you're fighting everybody. You're fighting the coaches, you're fighting the agents, sometimes you're fighting the players.
Coaches, agents, players, owners,
media,
the league, media, the public. Because, again, your job is, my job is to make you as much money
100%.
as long as possible, keep you healthy, to get you back to your families.
100%. And hopefully that you live a much better, more productive life after you've been playing with a ball, right?
The previous generation.
Right. I mean, our guys are going to leave football, at the ripe old age of 26, 27.
The average career is 3.3 years.
3.3 years is one pillar, 100% injury rate is the other. And that's how I saw my job. Two pillars. I'm going to do my job right between those two pillars. And frankly, sometimes let everybody else be damned.
One of the things that jumped out at me when you said, first of all, you said, I'm not here to be a fan. So when you meet with Roger Goodell and he takes off his lapel pin and he slides it across the table and he says, welcome to the league, and you slide it back because you're not joining the league.
No.
And I think that is, a lot of people probably will be shocked to hear that, and you lay it out. No. I am here to represent the Players Association.
That's it.
I am not, I don't want to hear that shield crap, protect the shield.
No,
I protect these guys.
No. Every time someone says the shield, it still makes my stomach roil.
Yeah.
I'm not there for the shield. No, I mean, my job is to be literally myopically focused on what is in the best interest of the players. And that simply means, to a certain extent, you can't be a fan of the game. And for me, I was a huge, you come out of the womb here, you root for the Washington football team, you do. But I realized that there was an inconsistency between me being a fan of the game and me having a responsibility only to the players. And you can't do both. And I think for the time that people try to juggle both, I think that's when it gets sideways.
When you talk about mindset, I'm sitting here, and as I'm reading the book, I'm remembering the labor strife. But I'm remembering the hell that Gene caught. Players who were trashing him.
I know.
Who were dogging him.
I know.
How dare you to get us a better deal?
I know.
And you come in and then you realize, and you're doing your research and you're realizing how they've gotten screwed. And you're studying baseball and hockey and basketball. And I often talk about, I always have this conversation when I say the baseball players. The reason they had those guaranteed contracts, because they stood together as one and saying, we ain't playing.
Well, they went through a strike.
But the key is, they didn't trash their leader.
No.
They didn't dog the leader.
No.
But these owners, they also know, and this is why I love NIL today, that they were dealing with largely African Americans who were poor, who came from nothing,
right,
who desperately needed the money,
right,
and they were who were not financially savvy, and so they knew, we got y'all, because
100%.
The check can control what you do,
100%, and control your mindset about what you want to do.
Yeah, like what you said, Antonio Cromartie. Stop bitching about money. Money ain't nothing. Money can be here and gone. Us players, we want to go out and play football. Well, what you gonna do when you're not playing, and now the money is gone, and you're trying to figure out how to pay into the health insurance. And then now, what about the pension?
Look,
it's that warrior mentality.
And look, the only thing I ever wanted to do in the job is be a dog warrior. And I always thought Gene was. And to your point, Gene took so much abuse. But remember, Gene was a participant of 3 failed strikes. The union called the strikes, and star players like Joe Montana crossed the picket line.
Quarterbacks.
And broke the union.
Because you say this, and I always believed it, but when you verified it, you said the person who is the closest to the owner on every team is that QB.
100%. And look, you either find those QBs who want to be a different cat.
Yep.
And I was lucky enough to have Drew Brees.
Right.
Because
the previous strike, they screwed them. They crossed the line.
Well, the quarterbacks club nearly broke the union. And there were a lot of quarterbacks in that group, and I continue to call a lot of them scabs because that's who they were. And they were the people who were paid the most, who literally came and gave the least to the union. And I will never forgive that group of people because all those men needed to do was just toe the line.
Right.
I mean, Gene never asked those guys to do any more than anybody else in the locker room. You know, by the time I came in, one of the reasons why I needed Brady and Breeze and Manning to really now stand up and sue the league,
right,
I needed to reverse that mentality.
Yep.
And thankfully, you know, guys who came behind those guys were always good, strong dudes, and we needed it.
And see, again, so for people who are watching and listening, you might be the NFL PA executive director, but you're dealing with, was it 32 teams?
32 teams, 2,500 guys.
You're dealing with
31 billionaires.
32 distinct environments. And so this locker room is different from this one and from this one. And so you got to like convince cats in each one. It's not like 100%. You having a mass meeting. You like got to go to each one, convince in each one. And so you're going to have resistance. Hey, I'm down with you. I don't trust you.
100%.
And so it is.
It is not for the faint of heart.
Reading the book, I was like, damn, this job ain't easy.
No. Look, I used to be 6'2", and I had tons of hair. So, no, look, it's a tough job because it's a group of young men who, again, it's their first job. They're doing something they love. It's all they want to do. But they don't understand, first thing, the power they have together is just unimaginable. Right. Unimaginable.
Or I would say the leverage and influence they
100%.
have, because the power resides in that person who can say,
100%.
You're cut.
100%. Well, and look, you look at the National Football League, and the only 2 entities within the league that are unionized are the referees and the players. Not the coaches.
Not the coaches, not the assistant coaches.
No. So when you look at the issues that the coaches are dealing with, and primarily the lack of minority representation, no union. And I used to run and pay for the coaches union.
So you have no entity that's fighting on their behalf.
Because they're unwilling to come together to form their own union.
There you go.
And so, look, I can take the bitching and the moaning and the complaining, but when all of that is directly linked to your unwillingness to stand up and fight for yourself.
But see, what you're describing, though, is, and again, we have to connect the dots because Reagan gets elected, 1980.
Oh, yeah.
Anti-union.
First thing that
fires the air traffic controllers.
100%.
And so
that was a war on unions.
Yeah, and what you begin to see is this massive attack over 3 decades.
Oh, yeah.
Against unions.
Oh, yeah.
Lazy, overpaid,
inhibits growth,
costing us. And so people start hating unions.
Yep.
But what's very interesting when I think about that and what you write in this book here is that you got these players, well, not the players. The NFL has been so brilliant at psychological manipulation.
100%.
That they have convinced fans that, no, we own this. And so when said player holds out,
right?
How dare you? You're hurting the team,
right?
Your teammates.
You're being
letting
selfish.
The city down, all this sort of stuff. And people are sitting there going,
yeah,
get your ass back on the field.
100%.
Get up there and win it for us. And I'm sitting there going, But you ain't saying nothing to the dude, and especially the owners now, who are worth 8, 10, 12, 15, 20, 100 billion, but you're sitting here pissed off at the player. But when they say, oh, I know you got a contract, we cutting your ass?
100%. No, look, the
manipulation is insane.
Well, look, and it's also, let's just call it the way it is. It is absolutely perpetrated by the league's TV partners, right? They just are. And so the way that I've always told players is, look, when you go down on that field and you can't get up anymore, every fan will give you the tepid applause.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. But you know what? No one's coming to your house to make sure you've got health care.
Nope.
No one's going to make sure that your brain isn't scrambled. No one's going to hope that you're not going to function with CTE or Alzheimer's later on in your life. So at the end of the day, the only group of people who are there to take care of us is us.
Or the case of the young kid, Jordan Travis.
No.
Massive injury to Florida State. This dude, listen, that injury cost that kid
100%.
100, 200, 300 million.
Easy.
Goes to the Jets, can't play, medical retirement. That one injury. And so you're yelling in college.
Right.
Run the ball, run. Guess what? You're excited, but you got to go home. His whole life changed with that fracture.
Look, and look, is there anybody in the FBS asking the group of players, hey, do you want to add one more game to this playoff? Of course not. There's no one saying, hey, what's in the best interest of the players where, hey, man, you got to catch one more punt before you make it through the gauntlet of college football, then the gauntlet of everything connected to trying to get into the league like the combine, get into the gauntlet of training camp so that you can sign your first contract. No one else is thinking about how does this detrimentally impact the players than the players themselves.
Especially when we talk about that one hit. I told Sterling Sharp this. I said, before I got to know him and become friends, I said, Sterling, you know I talked about you for years. Yeah. He was like, what? I remember I was in Dallas in the sports radio, and I'm listening, and they're going off. They're going off on some player with the Cowboys who was holding out. Now, first of all, I despise the Cowboys more than I hate the Klan.
Yep.
Trust me, and the Grand Wizard Jerry, same thing. I hate the Cowboys. But I'm listening to this radio show, and I was so pissed off, and I called in. I said, let me explain something to y'all. I said, Packers win the Super Bowl. I said, and Sterling holds out. Mm-hmm. And one reason I don't give a shit about Brett Favre, and you hit him in a book, is that Sterling needs to be back here in camp. And I'm like, oh, no, Brett, you got your money.
100%.
But you want Sterling to come back, and I think he did it later with another, I think it was not Donald Driver, but it was another receiver. He left the Packers, and he went to the Broncos. Yeah. Same thing. So what happens? Sterling holds out, gets his money, hit the 11th game, suffers an injury, career over that could have been life-threatening. If Sterling did not hold out for his money,
he's done.
He's done. And I said, I ain't got no problem when a player, I said, has outplayed his contract, who's holding out, because guess what? That owner, the billions that he's making, the money that he's making, what that player is making pales in comparison. So I tell fans all the time, shut the hell up, because you ain't taking one hit.
Well, look, I'll make a crazier story. Joey Bosa, Mr. Trump had at the end of the thing. When Joey Bosa went to the Chargers, getting ready to sign his rookie deal, the Chargers put all sorts of language into his contract that, frankly, just was not good for the player.
Right.
We talked to his agent. We talked to the player. Hey, look, you don't have to agree to this language. Hold out until they change the language. And he did. So, again, you're talking about a guy at the end that, Joey's politics are Joey's politics. But when it came time for the union to protect him, who did?
Right.
Who did? And why? Because you have to look out for yourself in this game, because at the end of the day, like I said, the 100% injury rate, about the only thing that an owner is ever going to get hurt doing is maybe getting cut on a lobster claw, right? At the end of the day, that's as bad as it's going to get for those guys. And again, they will will their teams to their families for generations.
Yep.
And our guys will be out in 3.3 years.
The Hunts who now run the daddy owned it.
100%.
I mean, you could
Harris, go down the line.
Rooney's. You could go all around in terms of how they do it. family members get hired. The McNair with the Texans, the people were like laughing at. We can go on and on and on in terms of how they operate, and then also who they hire as coaches.
They will own in perpetuity. And every guy that comes into the National Football League only gets to the National Football League because he made it through a gauntlet. And to your point, the fact that the league does such a great job spinning the heads of working people who work just like these guys. No guarantees.
That player is depriving you of an opportunity to enjoy the game because they're holding out and you spent your hard-earned money buying that jersey, when the reality is most fans cannot afford that ticket.
No.
Cannot even afford the tailgating, the food at the game.
Look.
And again, it's psychological manipulation.
I know. And look, I got into it with fans during Anthem and Kaepernick. Well, wait a minute, D. We don't really care. Of course, we won't mind, but we just don't like the fact that it's interrupting the game. When is it interrupting the game?
And in fact, when he was doing it, no one knew. It was a reporter that recognized it.
I got to call that second preseason game. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, they're going like, we don't want politics in the game. Oh, so you don't want politics in the game, but Chris Christie's in Jerry Jones' box.
Oh.
You don't want politics in the game. I ran into Herman Cain at the Texans game in the tunnel, and I said, "Yo, Herman, when you coming on my show? Why you scared?" So it's like people understand. Oh, you don't want politics in the game, but
it's always been in the game.
But this stadium was built with political city, county. Come on.
Of course. 1933, the owners ban NFL players who have been in the National Football League from the start. Ban them. Political decision. When they go to get their antitrust exemption so that they don't have any competition whatsoever, that's purely politics.
That was Congress.
100%. When they get their 501c6 nonprofit status, political or not political? So this idea that somehow politics has never been in sport and a fan saying, hey, we just don't like the anthem because it's putting politics into sport, your butt is in the seat at the stadium only because of politics.
Right.
That's it. And so when
the Chiefs are pissed off right now because the voters
didn't give them the referendum.
And they're pissed off. That's politics.
That's politics. And so, we are in a macro political system in America now that is run by oligarchs. And at the end of turf wars, I came to the conclusion that now the country's being run like the NFL.
Yeah.
And it is politics first. It's wealth and absolutely, rich people and billionaires getting richer. That's the system. And if people just don't wake up and understand that this is just a money play, this is a power play.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to write Turf Wars.
You mentioned Kaepernick. I was I covered that extensively.
Yeah.
Texting him and others back and forth. But I was shocked reading your book at how he wasn't even talking to y'all. And the reason I remember that vividly, because the protest and people who were involved in it.
Yeah.
I remember the conversations, and folks were like, "Well, okay, dude, are you in this? Are you not?
Right.
Are you leading this? Are you not? Like, what are you doing?" And then, so you don't want people wearing jerseys and going to games. And then it's like, okay, but what are you doing? And then the Players Coalition, and then the whole deal. And I'm sitting here, and you're literally saying, dude, are you going to call us back?
Yeah. It was a hard time. My job is to represent the players, and I did. And we represented Colin. We woke up and found out about the settlement on the news like everybody else. Trying to keep the players.
When you say the settlement, that was when he sued the NFL.
Right.
And then he settles for him and Eric like $8 million.
I have no idea.
And that's when no one's been thrown out. But yeah, same thing. But again, I'm sitting here reading your book, and you said he still hasn't called us back.
It's hard. It was hard. And look, and what I loved from the players, especially guys like Kenny Stills.
Yep.
And those guys who decided, no, we're going to fight this fight. And many of them were fighting on this fight saying, we're going to kneel until Colin gets a job back. And then, we have that issue in Atlanta where...
Yeah, the whole workout deal. And then you say his attorney, Mark Garagos, admits, oh no, it was all PR.
All right.
When there were people, I mean, I was one of the people who were on the air fighting and demanding
the tryout.
Right.
I know. It reminds me that these jobs, all of these jobs, are nothing's a straight line.
Have y'all ever talked?
Not about the case.
Okay.
Not about the case. And look, for me, nonetheless, we're going to do our job. You know, our job was to represent him as well. We did it. We worked well with his lawyers. Whatever they wanted to do, we did. We pursued the case. He settled the case. We're done. That's what happens. And you know, a player has the unilateral right to settle the case on his own. He doesn't have to check with the union. He didn't. That case was over. But, you know, look, I made a living suing the NFL because, again, that's how we hold them accountable.
Right.
And I get it that, you know, you'll take the licks from the media and from the fans that D would rather litigate than negotiate. That's us fighting. That's how we fight.
But also you have limited pathways to holding the league accountable. So it's not like, first of all, I think what so many people don't understand is they see Roger Goodell.
Right.
He is the commissioner of the NFL.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell is a well-paid employee. The
reality, of the owners.
The reality is, no, there are 32 owners
right.
who control the league.
100%.
And it's only really a handful of them. So all this stuff about, how he's the face, all this sort of stuff. No, he has bosses.
100%. And look, Roger's extremely well paid. But when you think about, you have those 31 owners, there is no SEC. They don't file any 10Ks, no 10Qs. There's no board of directors. There's no Department of Justice oversight, no SEC oversight, no state attorney general oversight, nothing. The only thing that stands in the breach to hold the league accountable is a union of 2,500 players and a short guy from Southeast.
What was I forget, what was it that you wrote where you said, okay, local prosecutor, state, federal, does any of y'all,
look,
these folks won't even, do any of y'all want, they all like, nah, we good.
We're good. I mean,
good.
think about let's just take the situation of minority representation in coaches and front office employees. Look, every state has their own EEOC and fair employment laws. Everybody. If you have been looking at the National Football League for the last 30 years and looking at the gross disproportion of representation in coaches and front office jobs, that's a prima facie case for discrimination. Not one attorney general's touched it.
Not one.
Not one.
And I love Brian Flores. I love that even though he's the defensive coordinator of the Vikings, he's like, no, we continuing.
We're still going.
No, we're still going.
Litigation is literally the only way, for the most part, that you can hold the league accountable. So, and that's been the way since the beginning. I mean, Bill Radovich was a war hero. He gets home from the war. He goes to the Detroit Lions owner to say that he wants to play in California because his father's dying. Detroit Lions owner says, no, you're going to play here next year even though you don't have a contract. Even though you don't have a contract. And if you decide to not sign the contract, you'll never work in the NFL again. He was literally the first person who was blackballed, a war hero. He sued the NFL for 10 years and won his case at the United States Supreme Court. So I don't have time or patience for anybody to talk about that, this idea of suing the league is somehow, an end run around negotiations. If you're sitting at a table, there's 31 billionaires. They can outrun you, outpay you, outspin you, outpower you in any way. And the only place where someone is going to hold them accountable is a courtroom. Who wouldn't make the decision to go to a courtroom?
Well, it's like when you talked about what took place with the Patriots and how the NFL destroyed the evidence. When it came to the Dan Snyder case. We go on and on and on. Like, you have this, what's so crazy is you have a league that goes, we're going to be forced to hire outside counsel. Let's go hire a former federal judge or whatever.
Former FBI director.
So what it does is it gives the veneer of,
it's all good.
When in fact, no, you're paying that person. You get to see their report.
100%.
You get to redact their report.
100%.
You get to determine what gets released. So how? But again, the PR is, oh no, this is beyond reproach.
Oh, 100%. And look, I went through it with Bounty. I went through it with Ray Rice. Went through it with Deflategate. And all three of those were exactly as you described. We're going to investigate this the way that we want to investigate it. We're not going to let anybody see. If it comes to evidence that needs to be held so that we can look at it, so the player can look at it, oh, no, it's gone. And then they write a report, and then they give it to everybody in the network, and then everybody in the network says, hey, this thing's good. It's all wrapped up now. No. So I made a decision early on that the players hired someone to go to war. And my only job was to go to war. It's not to make friends. It's not to appease people, not to make everybody happy, not even there to promote the game. I'm not there to promote the game. I'm there to make sure that the players have some sense of safety. And what they need to find out now, what these new players who now are moving to whomever their next leader is going to be, they just simply have to make a decision whether they're going to hire a warrior or someone who is
a caretaker.
And those are two separate jobs.
Right. When you mentioned Joey Bosa earlier in the contract language, I cracked up laughing at Kirk Cousins bitching about the
franchise tag.
The franchise tag. Kirk, he's bitching, and you're sitting here going, dude, really?
Really.
And the person who has benefited the absolute most is the person who's bitching, Kirk Cousins. And then you go in, then you start going into Tom Brady, and you're like, dude, I need you to maximize your contract, right? Helping everybody else. The Lamar Jackson deal. I remember. Listen, I'm a Houston Texans. I'm born and raised in Houston. I'm all Houston. But I was yelling, y'all, this is absolute collusion.
Absolutely.
How in the hell the MVP becomes available and nobody bids? The Atlanta Falcons go, oh no, we're good. Your QB sucks. And this is the MVP. They were like, oh, damn it, you get Deshaun that contract?
100%.
The hell with guaranteed deals.
And look, I have never seen the league more blatantly willing to rub it into the players' faces than during Lamar.
That was collusion.
And that's why I sued them. I sued them. The case was pending when I left. My successor, for whatever reason, made the decision not to tell the players what the outcome was. The outcome was that the management council urged teams to not give guaranteed contracts. Why they wanted to keep that secret, I have no idea.
Which is insane that the NFLPA, that was like, okay, that's like we got flames and red flags and we got sirens going. We yelling this from the rooftops.
I am still dumbfounded by that.
But that was so. And you said it. You said Lamar got as much as he could, but I wish it, because I go back to leverage and influence, because I use this. I hate when people say Michael Jordan had power. No, he had leverage and influence.
100%.
When Abe Powell fired his ass, Michael learned what power was.
100%.
And so
we were all here for that one.
Oh, I use that example all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I say that, and so that was a case where, and what you argue, what you wrote in the book, well, Lamar could have said, until you put a guaranteed deal on the table, I'm not playing. And we get X number of years. Yep. You don't want stuff to go by.
Yep.
But the reality is,
that's the war.
The guys today, they have to, some of these guys are going to have some Oscar Robertson, some
100%.
Kurt Flood, some Spencer Haywood.
Some dog.
In them to say
some dog.
That, no, if I do this, this is literally changing the game for the next 50 years.
Well, look, and I was lucky enough to have a lot of those guys in 2011. You know, when Drew and Peyton and Tom decide to put their names on that thing to sue the National Football League.
I love that my fellow Aggie, Von Miller, called you.
When he called me.
Dude, not even in the league.
Not even in the league. Not even in the league. Not even drafted yet. That dude called me on my cell phone, hey, D, I want to be a part of this. We need those guys. Somebody has to find those guys for the next 15, 20 years, because what's going to happen, because I know the owners and I know the way they operate, they're going to try to roll all of this back.
Yeah.
And they're unhappy about a lot of the current deal right now, mostly because a lot of teams are spending above the salary cap. That's the way we structured it. I'm not mad. Spend as much as you want.
Because you wrote about how a lot of these teams were under it, and they were just sitting there pocketing that money.
Oh, yeah.
They were just like, we're going to be competitive. We're just going to keep, and we'll keep going.
Well, when you think about the teams, and again, fans were conditioned to believe, well, of course everybody's spending the salary cap because everybody wants to win the same amount. No, they don't. The fact that you had more than 10 teams spending less than 80% of the salary cap or 85% of the salary cap for decades.
It's a third of the league.
It's unbelievable. So now, when they declared war on us in 2011, guys stood up. And guys like Vaughn, Legion, Mike Vrabel was like a hardcore union guy standing up. And we found those people to stand up and fight. This new group of players are going to have to find a group of players who want to fight and then pick the right executive director that matches their will.
Yep.
Instead of potentially getting it the other way around.
I really need you to explain to people. I mean, when Robert Kraft, who you talk a lot in this book, when he went on CNBC and said, oh, yeah, it's socialism. And Joe Kernan, hardcore MAGA. Well, no, don't say that, because this is before the Mamdani election.
Right.
Kernan, no, don't say that. And then Kraft tried to dance out of it. And it's like, no.
It is.
The NFL, the most profitable sports league in America, the NFL is a socialist system.
100%.
Explain to people how it is pure socialism.
By definition. They socialize their cost, they privatize their wealth. When you think about almost every stadium in the country is supported by taxpayer money. The league will say, well, wait, the owner's going to kick in some money to build the stadium, and perhaps the Bill Stadium is the best example.
Right.
By the time it's over, the taxpayers in Erie and in New York are going to end up paying close to $1.4, $1.5 billion.
New York State, Kathy Hochul put it $600 billion. And I was like, yo, where the hell did that come from?
At the end of the day, every economist believes it's going to be well over $1.5 billion. Later on in the month, she's got to make a decision on the budget to cut aid to whom? Kids and families and mothers.
But she gave the Pagulas, multiple billionaires, $600 million for a stadium.
100%. That again, I believe it's going to be $1.5 billion by the time it's done.
One of the worst stadium deals, Cincinnati.
Easy. And then, Terry Pagula parks his $100 million yacht, for whatever it is, out front so that he can watch his daughter play in the tennis match. But that is what they do. Even when they say that the owner is going to kick in money, the owner's money is tied to the PSLs that the fans are paying. So the fans are going to pay 3 times for this stadium. You're going to pay from tax costs, you're going to pay for PSLs, and then you're going to pay tickets to get into the stadium.
Right. I'm paying a license that gives me the right
to buy
the seat.
Yeah. So let's flip it around and let's just turn it into D. Smith's house. I go to the folks in Montgomery County and say, hey, look, I got a great idea. I want to build a big house for myself. The only thing I need is the city or the state or the county to give me the land to build the house on. That's all I need. After that, I'm going to charge people to come in every time they come into my house. And also, it would be great if I got the taxpayers to also, pay for the building. Everybody would laugh.
I'm sorry. And also, if I'm looking for any lawn maintenance or any upkeep, you also are going to pay for the renovation.
All of it.
Also, by the way, if I have a party and I'm actually, if I have valet parking, I'm going to keep the valet parking money.
You're going to pay.
And then, matter of fact, I'm going to park a food truck out front, and I'm going to keep all the food money as well.
100%.
And by the way, I'm going to need you to also go to the state and improve the highway.
Yeah, because I want people to get there better. And then, by the way, we'll top it off with we need all the first responders and all the police officers to get paid overtime to protect my house. That's a National Football League.
Hold up. And then, Pentagon, I'm going to need y'all to cut us a check so we can unfurl the big-ass flag.
And the flyovers.
And then the flyover, and also the salute to
America. Yeah.
Salute to the soldier in the third quarter. Oh, taxpayers, y'all paying for that too.
All of it. All of it. I mean, it is simply the biggest land grab of money I've ever seen in my life. And you sit there, and then you get to a negotiation session with a group of owners. And you and I, if we were able to pull off such a scam like that, we would be thankful. We would just be thankful. But you get to a meeting with those guys, and they look at you, and the first thing they say to you is, we need more back from you. It's actually different, D. The players should just be thankful for being a part of this. Just happy to be a part of this universe. And we're going to need players to give back a little bit of money. And this whole pension thing, we don't really like that. We don't like the 401ks. So you end up fighting with a group of people who are the most entitled people in America. The National Football League is the largest concentration of billionaire wealth in the country. And you have to fight to the death for a player to make sure that he has, and all of these guys have, the right health care on the sideline. I mean, again, it is not perfect. I'm proud of what we were able to do. But the fact is, it comes with just hand-to-hand combat that I now worry that a group of players don't understand that legions of players fought that hand-to-hand combat just to make sure that you have the locker room that you have today.
Well, and even when you talk about, what was it? I literally just saw the report where the league is pissed off with the NFL players' annual survey over the quality of the
facilities.
And you're not supposed to make this public because the report comes out every year. This team facilities suck. Food suck. The family room sucks, and it's typically the Bengals who are always the worst. And they're mad.
And the Chiefs.
They're mad.
That is public. It is a surreal world, right, where you want to hold them accountable. I think the next thing the players have to do with that is collectively bargain to make the facilities better. Right? I mean, look, I love the idea of the survey, but the next thing that you have to do after that is go and fight to make all of the facilities meet some
because what the players have to, but this is and then again it goes back to leverage and influence.
Yes.
There literally is no game without the players.
Correct.
If the players said, I go back to when the NCAA was scared as hell that Nolan Richardson and John Thompson were going to boycott.
I remember
the one when Thompson walked off the court.
40 minutes of hell.
I think it was Prop 48.
40 minutes of hell, Nolan Richardson. Oh, yeah.
They were scared that, oh, my God, if the tournament comes, that these cats are not going to come out for tip-off. When Donald Sterling, when they were, Adam Silver was fighting like hell. I mean, they were like, okay, are these players going to not play in a playoff game? And so the thing here is,
that's it.
If these NFL players, it's no different than when in college, when that brother at Ole Miss, the running back, you know what? I ain't really feeling playing with that Confederate emblem on that flag.
That's right.
And when that thing went from Ole Miss to Mississippi State,
here we go.
That black folks have been fighting for decades to get it off. But when the football players said,
we're done,
and the white coaches went to them Republicans, them racist Republicans, said, listen, we ain't gonna have no players. That damn flag was changed.
100%.
And this is where, if black players, that level of consciousness to say, we can change all this, but as King said on April 3rd, 68, has to be collected.
100%.
Has to be collected.
And look, I used to tell the players, I'm so thankful that Dr. King didn't have Twitter, because everybody would hashtag a fist sign and a walk emoji, and nobody would have actually gotten into the streets. there comes a time when you have to get into the street. Because when you look at union rights, rights for women breaking the glass ceiling, civil rights, none of that was bestowed upon us.
No.
Someone had to actually get into the street and march. I just did a book thing at the Birmingham Civil Rights.
People died. Most labor laws today are a result
of people dying.
Of deaths.
100%. I mean, you talk about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, those are deaths. You talk about Ludlow, deaths. The Voting Rights Act is linked to hundreds of deaths.
Hell, you read about the whole Damar Hamlin deal. They wanted to go back and play.
100%.
And it was the players who were like, no, hell no. That ain't going to be a game.
And that willingness to actually do something is what players across almost every league has to do. And look, I hope, for example, the WNBA players reach a good deal, but if they don't, they're going to have to demonstrate their willingness not to play.
And I think out of all the sports leagues,
man, I'll tell you right now, I've worked with those women in the past. They are killers. I dig them because they're willing to go to war. They are willing to.
They
go
were
to
more
war.
aggressive on BLM and social justice
than anyone.
Yeah, they
got rid of a city.
They ran an owner. Dog, when you run an owner out the league, Kelly Loeffler, your ass got to go.
She was
a billionaire.
Out. Look, everybody wants to talk about, who's strong, who's got a lot of leverage, who's got a lot of power. I don't know of any group of players in history who ran out their own owner who was a billionaire politician. Who? Group of women.
Right.
Right? And so that level...
The players didn't run Sterling out.
Oh, no. That was the narrative.
And again, nothing against the players.
Nothing against the players. Adam Silver did exactly what Adam Silver had to do.
Yes.
Full stop, right? I mean, nobody ran that dude out. Full stop. The only group of players I have ever seen execute that level of
Atlanta Dream
pure
players.
Dog. And look, I dig every one of them because I think that they understand what the frame is. If they've played in high school, if they've played in college, they have always been second. The men's team probably got better facilities,
always.
better everything, and I think that they understand.
Probably except at Tennessee.
Except at Tennessee.
Yeah.
and so they come from a system and a frame where they understand that it's just us that are going to get this done.
But also, what I love that these women, they're sitting there going, hold up. How much are you now worth? See, everybody keeps talking about.
Right.
I love when the Clay Travises and these MAGA people, at least make no money. They're like, no, hold up.
Stop.
You can't go from this to, you paid $325 million. They're like, no.
They're making money.
We see what's going on here.
100%.
We see how the game's playing. And they're like, and because the WNBA is so young, now with these rival leagues, they're like, the talent can go over here. Because for so long, if you were a woman basketball player, you actually made more money going overseas.
Oh, 100%.
So unlike in the United States where it's the NFL or bust, yeah, you can play overseas, but the NBA money is different from over there.
Correct.
They actually made more money
in
Poland and Russia than the United States.
Look, so much so they tried to change the rule to say if you worked over there, you couldn't come back. So, I mean, the agency that these group of athletes have, I see as almost unique in the paradigm. And I'm looking for them to use every bit of leverage they have.
A few more questions. Being the head 14 years took a massive personal toll.
Yeah.
The drinking. It was just, you write how, this job was eating you alive because it was 24/7.
It's hard. Look, I only know one way to go, and that's 110 miles an hour the whole time. And you convince yourself that you're absolutely indestructible. You just do. And it got to a point for me of, look, the way that my brain churns about everything that the league is going to do. I'm playing three-dimensional chess all day.
Right.
And unfortunately, all night. and it wears on you. And so for me, just to get to sleep at night, you're hitting a few martinis and a half a bottle of wine. And I thought that, it doesn't, look, for anybody who finds themselves in that situation and for people out there who have dealt with it, they all tell the same story. It doesn't jump on you one day. It's just that one day you realize, wait a minute, what has happened? And when my jaw wires shut where I could barely walk and had to go see somebody to handle TMJ, I knew that the stress level for me and my ability to handle it had completely got out of whack. Mm-hmm. And that, look, that's born out of this belief that you're indestructible. But I think, for me, what led me there and some of the frustration that I had with some of the players, people who have not grown up in a sports paradigm, who have your background or my background, when you sit down and you write on a sheet of paper that, okay, let's just start off with the fact that there's 31 billionaires. And they control, and they have a way of controlling almost every political figure in their state. They have a PAC, and they can control almost every politician they want. Sure, we might be able to file a few lawsuits, but they have more money to spin these lawsuits into litigation forever. I've got a group of players who are primarily under the age of 23 years old. They play for 3.3 years. There's a part of you that in order to play the three-dimensional chess the right way, you actually have to become the lawyer for the other side and say to themselves, well, if I was running this, what would I do to D. Smith?
I mean, you literally have to deal with the owners trying to put a former player
right
in the job that you got in Troy Vincent, who they then hire on their side. That was, you say, basically, they wanted to control the union
100%.
by putting their own guy in.
100%. And again, go back to Gene Upshaw. Troy is out of the union because of Gene Upshaw. Because when Gene found out, that was Troy's last day. And Gene understood the stakes, I think, better than anyone. And in some respects, he was much stronger and a much more powerful leader than I would ever be. He was also willing to do things that I'm not sure I could do. I mean, when you think about Gene as the executive director, they call a strike. I mean, they call the play. The players, look, Gene doesn't make that call. The players make that.
That's a vote.
That's a vote.
Right.
And everybody decides we are going to pursue this strike.
It's a majority vote.
100%, until we get what we want. And then again, players like Joe Montana cross that picket line and kill.
I think Elway crossed too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when the high-profile players killed that strike and killed that picket line, and that strike is over, who has to pick up the phone to call Paul Tagliabue to say, hey, by the way, you won, we lost, and now you have to beg to come back to work? Gene made that call. I'll be dead honest. I'm not sure I can make that call. I mean, I don't know how I would go through a strike that the players called only to watch it capitulate for other players. And then I've got to pick up the phone.
Right.
And I called Roger. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I know you broke our backs, but we want to come back to work. Gene made that call. And when he made that call, the owner said, sure, you know what, it's great. Why don't you all come back to work? But the first game this weekend, everybody's playing for free. That's what the league did. So, no, I don't have any
and
love
he couldn't
lost.
Object.
What do you do?
You're lost.
You've lost. So I know people, the Sports Business Journal, I think, just recently honored Gene as one of the most influential people, top 125 influential people. And I think he deserves it. Here's my question. I wonder how many people connected to the Sports Business Journal gave Gene his flowers while he was alive.
Right.
Pump the brakes.
Right.
Right. And so I know Gene didn't get into this job to try to get accolades from people like that. I didn't, because I certainly saw what they did to Gene. And I saw the way that they did everything in their power to make him a false caricature.
He got eviscerated. I mean, I remember reading stories. I remember seeing players curse him out and talk about that man like a dog in interviews.
And when I took the job, I made the decision of I wanted to run the union the way that Gene would have run the union if he was an asshole prosecutor from D.C. And that's the way that I wanted to run the union. And
because he was a former player. Your deal is like, that ain't me.
It's not me. It's not me. But I'll tell you right now, and I think one of the things Gene did that I didn't do, especially when it came to former players, bad-mouthing Gene, I think the code of being a player, I think Gene kind of gave it a pass.
Right.
And let those players kind of say whatever they say. I'm not a former player.
Yeah, no, you write about Russell Okong, you write about Troy, you put names
Joe
out
Montana.
there.
Look, I'm not going to let you undercut the work that this union on behalf of the players has done. And by the way, I'm not going to let you undercut what those other players did. I mean, we've got hundreds and thousands of players who supported this union who lost their jobs fighting for this. So, no, I'm not going to let you put out a false narrative that does a disservice to them.
You were not only you retire, but you stepped down.
Yep.
They replace you. That person barely lasted. They're now in a conundrum.
Yeah.
You fought. There were people who you were fighting for. Do they reach out and say, D, give us some advice? Because to your point, listen, when these TV contracts are coming up, all that sort of stuff, you got to decide, who do I want? Do I want a pit bull in there swinging for us? And what they just went through, that was shocking.
Shocking.
That I don't even know, it lasted a year.
Almost two. I'm still at a loss about that. I don't,
because you're one of you were not involved in the search, the replacement, none of that.
No, and Roland, honestly, I mean, I spent more than a few months blaming myself for this because within 2 years of you leaving and you see things get so far out of whack, you can't help but blame yourself.
And did you blame yourself because you thought I had positioned it in the proper way that they would make the right choice?
I thought I had taught.
Got it.
And again, I always thought that my main job vis-a-vis the players was a teacher, right? Because you have to teach a group of people who've never had a job what this is. You've got to tell them about John Mackey.
Yeah, but you also are teaching them, though, which is, again, this is a union, the intricacies of labor law.
Yeah.
You're teaching them finances. You're teaching them P and their responsibilities. I mean, you're talking about a $15, $20 billion, $25 billion. But even from the player standpoint, your budget ain't small.
No,
I mean,
no.
This is a multi-million-dollar union in a multi-billion-dollar industry.
100%.
And you're facing 32 mega-billionaires.
And look, nobody should feel sorry for players because they have the wherewithal to go to war. I mean, that was what I left and built. I mean, they're sitting on probably $1 billion in cash. Players Inc. runs the union, so we can fight every case to the death as we would. But for example, when it became public about the collusion lawsuit that somebody decided to keep secret from the players, two things jumped out at me. One, the collusion case, and let's one giant step back. Collusion goes to the heart of the relationship between players and owners.
Yep.
It is literally the third rail. And when you think about the baseball strike in 1994, that was pure leverage by the players. But the same thing that was going on at the time.
They still hate Marvin Miller.
That
man
to death.
They still hate that. That man has passed away, and his name is a cuss word.
And you know who was my mentor? Marvin. And
they still hate him.
And Marvin talks about.
He hasn't been elected to a Hall of Fame.
No, and let me say this: the last dude who cared about being in the Owners Hall of Fame was Marvin.
But they're like, hell no, because he led those players.
That's the way I wanted to fight. And so, collusion being at the heart of this. Yeah, the 1994 strike by the baseball players was important, but the same thing that was going on at the same time, 3 collusion cases So that combination of player activism joined with the fact that there were 3 monumental collusion cases that the owners had lost put the owners at such a disadvantage where they were like, no, we have to cut a deal with the players. So this idea of taking a collusion case and not leveraging it to the benefit of the players is still stunning to me. And I'm always walking a careful line. I've got a non-disparagement clause against them, but that's simply the truth. The collusion is the most important thing for any group of players to find and leverage. It led to free agency in 1993. John Mackey started the collusion fight in 1971. Kaepernick is a collusion case. Lamar is a collusion case. Right. So, I mean, yes, this is the essence of the fight. And so my hope, look, I love the union. I love the players. My hope is that they find that warrior spirit, because if they don't, I'll tell you a group of people who will roll the clock back on them.
Those billionaires.
100%.
Do you believe, last question,
yep.
Do you believe that with NIL, and this is the position that I take, that what NIL has done, so the old model was player gets drafted.
Right.
He walks across that stage.
Happy.
Big bear hug from Roger Goodell.
Drives me crazy.
And then they go interview him about my mama house. And all this sort of stuff. About mama daddy a truck. Okay, if you ever even see the daddy. Now all of a sudden,
you're a mess.
You got cats. I hated that. I
do too.
I hated it.
It's against our grain of existence as men, right?
Right. I just this whole
thankful.
Like this is my new daddy.
Yeah. Shake his hand.
Right. It's right.
Shake his hand.
I'm like,
I said the same thing to every rookie. Shake his hand.
Right. Because that bear hug. But if you do something, he's going to be giving you that fine.
The next time you see Roger will be when he suspends you.
Right.
That's what I used to tell people. Just shake his hand.
So,
but I think you're right.
With NIL, what you now have college freshmen, and now it's going down to high school.
Yeah.
Now it's going to junior high. You now have not only players who are now more financially aware.
Yep. Now
their parents are.
Yep.
So now you don't have the same player. And
I agree with you.
I think what's pissing these owners off is you got to do now. I could make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 million in college. So I don't have to sit here and
be thankful.
Right. I think NIL is changing a lot of this right here among a lot of these ball players, especially African Americans.
Look, I think that's absolutely right, and I think that's the hope. I think the new mentality around labor unions in sport have to take into account that you're dealing with a new group of people who are more financially aware, have a higher level of agency, and hopefully have a different spirit that, whoa. I am going to take control of my own destiny.
Right.
And is that going to roil the owners? 100%. And again, I have my own theories about Shador, but I know that level of brashness, that level of I know how to play football. I've already got some money. I am going to come into this relationship on a purely equal transactional basis.
Yes.
That is something the owners do not like.
Oh, and by the way, owners, my jersey is number 1.
100%. 100%. And so
Haslam, your sons are wearing number 12.
100%.
Not Dylan Gabriel.
And that, again, it is now the time.
They can't handle that.
It is now the time to take the mantle of being a warrior and let's go, right? Because this system, I'm proud of the things we've done, but this system is also ripe for a revolution.
Oh, yes.
And those things are good for working people.
See, that's why I've had some conversations and colleagues of mine and I wish we were having this when Michelle was still there, but then she was leaving.
Yeah. At the NBA players.
At the NBA players.
I love her to death.
But what's happening is, and I had a conversation with the retired president of the Retired Player Association, and I said, bruh, you guys understand, you guys are all individual corporations. I said,
right.
What is the most fascinating thing? If you take All the Smoke, you take The Pivot, take all of these different shows. This is why, and I'm like, y'all got to see this thing differently. I'm like, stop going do deals with these cats over here making them money. I said, what makes these podcasts successful are your stories.
100%.
So your story, you're taking us inside the locker room.
Right.
We can't go there. I can be a reporter and say what I heard, but no, you're saying what I know.
Right.
And I said, so you're now I said, all these cats are now doing these individual deals. I said, as opposed to if y'all create a collective and then say, no, we're going to go out and sell these shows as a collective.
Sure.
We're going to go cut brand deals. We're going to go cut, you just saw the Jeff Teague, their podcast, just a deal with Adidas. So now all of a sudden, so as opposed to individual, no. You should be moving as a collective because every time, what people don't realize, all of these same stories, that's how documentaries are made.
100%.
Why do they have to executive produce a documentary? Y'all can actually go out and hire your own filmmakers.
Oh, easy.
Now you're talking about, yes, you're making money over here, but this is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
And that's
it's
power.
Media deal.
100%.
The NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball and soccer and PGA, it's all media deals.
Oh, no.
I'm saying to the players,
that's right.
Y'all got to be in the media business.
I know. Well, look, one of the reasons I created One Team Partners was that. Getting everybody together on a group licensing page so that we dictate our own destiny, right? Now, think about what happens to your point.
Explain that before we don't know, because that was NFL and...
Right, NFL, Major League Baseball, soccer...
So now y'all are moving as a collective.
Correct.
I can negotiate a higher...
100%.
I got you.
And so our deal-over-deal ratio went through the roof. It holds all of the people that we do deals with accountable, because if you do a deal that screws one of our partners, guess what? No. So this idea of a collective is literally the thing that changes. Look, institutions don't change. People change. Right? And the idea of a collective, imagine what happens if a group of basketball players or football players decide, we're not going to give away the free interviews to ESPN anymore.
Right.
We're going to create NewCo, and we're going to do it ourselves.
What was that when the magazine, the players, Derek Jeter, that's what that was. The magazine, the player, it was called the Players
Tribune.
Yeah. I mean,
that was that nation idea.
It was sort of like, wait a minute, hold up. Why do I'm driving ESPN. I'm driving TNT. Without us, you don't have shit to talk about when the game's over.
One of the biggest fights I got into in the National Football League, if you think back to Marshawn Lynch, who
I remember
famously,
I remember it.
Didn't want to come to the press conference, and the way the CBA is written, it only says that the players have to be available. No player has to give an interview. I mean, and I fought that thing so hard. Why? Because at some point, this collective is going to understand that the media deals and our ability to go directly to the consumer is going to absolutely change this market.
Did you see the movie? I guarantee you saw it. I love the movie because he shot it with an iPhone. That's one of the reasons why I love High Flying Bird.
Oh, yeah.
I love it because the crux of that is,
self-media silo.
We're the product. If we can sell tickets, get excited. So many of the players, and again, I've talked to players. We talk privately. They'll come to me and they say, man, how did you build this show and network? I said, guys, you're in the media business.
100%.
I said, that's how they sell shoes and everything else. Well, they're in the media business.
And look, and once you are in the media business and you have that piece of leverage, then you use that leverage when it comes time to asymmetrically negotiate a new collective bargaining agreement, right? That's the power. But it takes vision, it takes a level of discipline, but it honestly has to start with a group of players who have to decide that we don't want to be complacent. And that's literally, I think, what's the theme.
Complacent, or I'll say satisfied. That's what. So I always think back to the movie Malcolm X, when Denzel playing Malcolm X, Brother Johnson's beaten by the cops. He says, call an ambulance. And they call the ambulance, and the cop goes, all right, you got what you wanted. Now let's break this up. He goes, no, I'm not satisfied. On to the hospital. I'm always saying,
don't be satisfied.
I'm not satisfied.
100%. Look, that's what drives us, right? That's what drives us. And look, I've always been such a fan because you speak truth to power. And, man, what a pleasure.
Absolutely. I was at that with the coaches meeting. We were in New York.
Oh, that's right.
And I was hoping, hey, Cats would follow up because I was like, yo, we're there. But the reality is, movements are built upon moments.
Yep.
But it requires people that have a commitment to say they want to make this thing happen.
100%.
That's the only way it happens.
That's the only way it happens.
Folks, the book is called Turf Wars, The Fight for the Soul of America's Game. And y'all, I'm trying to tell y'all think I'm lying. Listen.
It's all marked up. I dig it.
I need y'all to understand.
I dig it.
I don't, when
That's what I love. That's what I love.
I go through.
That's what I love.
go through highlighters. And so I'm trying to tell
that's the biggest honor that you can give me,
I'm trying to tell you. When I
work
read
through a book.
I go, look, all my books, it's a highlighter. I have 2 or 3 highlighters because if one goes dry, I'm good.
100%.
And then people always ask me, why don't you get your books? But I said, no, because I actually will go back
Me too.
and pull something from. So, fascinating book as well. Demaurice, I appreciate it.
My brother.
Folks,
Thank you, brother.
that is it for us. Again, be sure to get the book, Turf Wars. I guarantee you, absolutely, we have a totally different understanding of the NFL. We want y'all to support the show. Of course, look, we ain't got no millionaires and billionaires cutting us checks. We started this show 7 years ago. Now we have this network. We have 3 other shows. We're launching a daily news show next month. We're launching a weekly health show as well. We're trying to launch a business show, all because what we focus on is centering African Americans, speaking to the issues that we care about, where we're not an afterthought. We're sort of a side story, a part of the story. We are the central part of the story. So your support is critical. I said this on our 7th anniversary, September 4th. The goal was to raise $1 million between then and the end of the year. We got 15 days left because, again, 2026 is going to be huge. We're going to be traveling around the country. We're going to be in North Carolina, Georgia, Texas, doing town hall discussions because we've got midterm elections. But there's a lot of things that will be going on, and so your support is critical. If you want to join our Bring the Funk fan club, I told y'all, I don't send hats, T-shirts, or whatever. When you give, that money goes right back into this show. And I told you, the live streaming unit we have, I just approved a 3rd one. That's $20,000. The Associated Press cut them $180,000 check. We got some new. We got some new things coming with our app. We're switching providers. We have more details with that. That was $110,000. And so in the past 2 weeks, I've literally cut checks for $450,000. And so nothing about this show is free. So your support is absolutely critically important. You want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here, bottom left-hand corner. That's also for credit cards. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037 7-0196. If you want to, of course, download the Black Star Network app, be sure to do so. Download the app, Android phone, Apple phone, Android TV, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag. If y'all want to get our shirts, our hoodies, our crew necks, our T-shirts, everything, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. The QR code there as well. All of those products on my desk over there, you see, those are Black-owned companies that are on our marketplace. Y'all, we got, you name it, backpacks, we got dolls, steam dolls, we got relishes, sauces, we got Christmas ornaments, we got all kinds of stuff. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. When you buy those products, look, y'all buying Christmas gifts, buy Black-owned, okay? When you buy those products, then you also are supporting this show as well. So go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Don't forget, Fanbase. It is just 2 days left in the capital raise. They're trying to raise $17 million. They crossed $15 million. You got 2 days left. I'm going to have Isaac Hayes III on tomorrow. That's it. The fundraising round closes on Wednesday. Download the app, Fanbase. And of course, if you want to invest, get more information at startengine.com/fanbase. Startengine.com/fanbase. I wore my Aggie shirt. Now, you know, I ain't happy with these our conservative border regions. How they screwing over when it comes to DEI. But I'm fighting them as well. But I will shout out Texas A&M volleyball team. They upset the number one team in the country, Nebraska, on yesterday. They advanced to the national semifinals this weekend. And Matt Manning, your Longhorns suck. They lost to Wisconsin. So y'all not going to the national semifinals. So shout out to the Texas A&M women's volleyball team. And, of course, we'll be getting ready for this weekend. My Aggies play Miami. Oh, by the way, Henry, your Cowboys suck. They lost last night. My Texans won. Yeah, that's how we do it. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Holla!